as usual, we are gathered here today to listen to another dispensation of the Lord Buddha's teaching. Before we commit, let us all take a moment to remind ourselves how extremely fortunate we are to be students of the Great Master, the Supremely Enlightened One, the Perfect One, the Omniscient One, the Infinitely Compassionate One, who sacrificed and dedicated an entire samsara towards the liberation of all sentient beings, including you and I. And it is because of him that we have the gift of Dhamma today, the gift that empowers us to redeem ourselves from the suffering of samsara once and for all. So bearing this in mind, let us first pay homage to the Supremely Enlightened Gautama Lord Buddha. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. And also, as usual, before we commence, let us take a moment to observe the precepts, reminding ourselves, as I always remind you, that we are yet again finding ourselves in a position where we have to renew the vows that we took, the precepts that we vowed to abide by. There may have been instances throughout the days gone by in which the defilements got the better of you, desire, aversion and delusion got the better of you, and therefore the strength of your virtues were insufficient to keep you from defiling yourself. In the hope, prayer, resolve and determination that may this have to be the last time I have to abide or take on the vow of abiding by the precepts, let us take a moment to do so. And in order to do so, please repeat all together and after me. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Dutiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi dhammaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Tatiyampi sanghaṃ saranang gacchāmi. Saranāgamaṇaṃ sampunnaṃ. Pānātipātā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Adinādānā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Kāmesu micchāchārā vēramaṇī sikkhapaдаṃ samādhiyāmi. Musāvādā vēramaṇī sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Surāmera majjapamā daṭṭhānā vēramaṇī sikkhapadaṃ samādhiyāmi. Tisaranena saddhiṃ pañcasīlaṃ dhammaṃ sādhukaṃ surakkitaṃ kattvā appamādena sampādetabbam. Okay, you may now all be seated. most venerable members of the Mahasangha, distinguished gathering as well as those joining us online. Before we commence the sermon, let us take a moment to invite all the devas, brahmanas, spirits, demons and the dead, all those who have predeceased us, our predecessors, our ancestors, not just in this birth but also in an infinitely long journey in samsara, all of those beings who would have been a mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, nephew, niece, grandparents, teachers, co-workers, colleagues, so on and so forth. Anyone and everyone who might have helped us, assisted us, supported us, shaped our lives for the better. In whatever capacity they might have helped us and supported us stand on our own 2 feet and be better people than we were. Let us take this moment to repay the debts that we owe them, giving them the gift of Dhamma which excels all gifts. This is the prime opportunity to do so. And therefore, before we begin, let us invite them, wherever they may be in these 10,000 world systems. If they have the slightest of capacity to join us, the slightest ability, the opportunity to join us, may they do so. May they witness this meritorious deed and acquire sufficient merit, such that if any of them have today been born in the woeful planes, to redeem themselves and be born in the blissful plane. And for all those beings in the blissful plane, may they be able to listen to this teaching, may they be able to understand it, and may they be able to comprehend it and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. So as I now make this invitation, I ask you all to extend this invitation in your hearts and in your minds out to all those beings. And may they join us, may they witness this meritorious deed, may they listen to the Buddha's teaching and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Sadhamang Munirajasansa Sunantu Sagga Mokkadang Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadanta Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadanta Dhamma savana kalo ayang bhadanta. And also, before we commence, let us take a moment to reflect on how the Dhamma has touched our lives and how it has changed us beyond our wildest imagination. Consider for a moment who you used to be, the person you used to be, before you had the teaching, before you received the gift of the Dhamma. And if that is who you were in this birth, now consider how you might have been in this infinitely long journey in samsara. Virtually always been in the association of immoral, ignoble people who continued relentlessly to defile our minds with raga, dvesha, moha, desire, aversion and delusion, and having been blinded with ignorance and attachment, avidya and tanha. Innumerable will be the times we will have offended, desecrated, offended and reviled the noble ones, the Samma Sambuddhas, the Pacceka Buddhas, Arahata Buddhas, Anagami, Sakradagami, Sotapannas, be they on the path or having attained the fruits, as well as the Buddha's ministry, the Sambuddha Shasana. For any thoughts, words or actions of such desecration that we might have directed towards them either knowingly or unknowingly, today the results of such actions may be that our path and progress to Nibbana is hindered. Therefore, before we commence this sermon, let us all take a moment to be humble. With humility in our hearts and in our minds, let us take a moment to seek forgiveness from the noble ones for any misdeeds, any actions or thoughts of slander and desecration that we might have directed towards them. And finally, let us all make a firm resolve, and may through the course of this sermon, if there are any among you who are yet to attain the state of Sotapanna, may through the course of this sermon you be able to do so. If there are any gaps in your understanding, in your knowledge, in your comprehension, which have thus far kept you from attaining those noble attainments, may through the course of this sermon you be able to fulfill those gaps and reach those higher attainments. And if there are any among you who have already attained the state of Sotapanna made through the course of this sermon, you'll be able to fulfill the subsequent stages and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. With that firm resolve in mind, I invite you all to prepare yourselves to listen to this sermon. Okay. As you'll know, we are tireless in our pursuit for perfection. Well, as perfect as we can be. There's only one, the perfect one. But we can go some length to getting close to sainthood. And there is this state of becoming an arahant. In very simple terms, becoming an arahant is none other than cleansing your mind of the defilements, ridding your mind of desire, aversion and delusion, which are the fetters that keep you bound to samsara. These are the defilements which continue to be the voice, resounding voice in our minds that keeps saying existence is a must-have. Existence is the path to happiness. Exist and you shall be happy. In other words, be and therefore you'll be happy. So, be happy. You can't really be and be happy, because being is existence. Even an arahant, if an arahant is still being physically alive, they still haven't put an end to all suffering. The mental suffering is gone, obviously, but the physical suffering still prevails. So really the purpose, the ultimate goal of all our efforts must be anupadisesa nirvana, which is passing away into parinibbana. Beyond this point, or just before this point, there's nowhere you can actually found happiness. There's nowhere you can actually say this is where happiness lay. Mental happiness, yes, but if you want all happiness to come if you want to achieve all types of happiness that ever can be achieved, then that can only be sought in anupadisesa nirvana, or passing away into parinibbana. So that is our ultimate goal. Now, as I said, we are the monastery. We are on a constant pursuit of this ultimate goal. The 24 hours we have every day, which is more than you have. Yes? No? Oh, I didn't realize. So it seems then that we all have just 24 hours, is that right? Okay, so we all have only 24 hours. So what's the difference then? Ah, there we go. People talk about time management. There's no such thing as time management. You can't manage something that you can't have any control over. If you are a manager of something, you should be able to have more of it, less of it. You should be able to manipulate it. That's when they call you the manager of a company, manager of a team. You can manipulate your team. You can get your team members to do what you like. And how much control do you have over time? Absolutely none. So how can you time manage or manage time? That is a fallacy. There is no such thing as time management. What there is life management. That you can control. In other words, you can decide what you want to do in the time that you have. How you spend your life in the time you have, that is down to you and I. We can each make that decision for ourselves. So it appears then that we all have the same 24 hours. You and I, we are all doing something in these 24 hours. And the time is consumed at the same rate, apparently, seems like it. I'm just hoping that you're as keen as I am in attaining and achieving this ultimate goal, that I see no other way than the Noble Eightfold Path, and I see no other way to happiness than actually doing the things that I'm doing right now. I hope you're realizing the gravity of this. Because if you look at it, we all have the same tools. We all have time, or whatever's left of it. Right? We all have an expiry date, don't you? The only problem is we don't know what that date is. So we've all got an expiry date, we just don't know when that is. So we have time, whatever is left over of it. We all have the Dhamma. We all have a life. Dharamayai Obai. So if you have the Dhamma, and if there's you, as in being alive, well, what else do you need? So being alive equates to having time to do something with your life. What more do you need? If you have the Dhamma and you have you, then what more do you need? Nothing else. So what matters is really what you do with the time that you have. And I hope you are as keen and you are as diligent as I am in your pursuit. Of course there will be obstacles. Both you and I have obstacles. None of us are free from obstacles. The time that I have to spend eating, to me, is an obstacle. I'd much rather not have to eat. I used to enjoy the fact that I had time to eat. Being alive, I thought, wow, I'm alive, I can eat things. I just didn't know I was eating time. Being alive, I thought, wow, it's fantastic to be alive. Just go on YouTube and type in being alive. You'll find a lot of positive thinking videos and clips that people have put on there. How great it is to be alive. Existentialism. How existence is such a great thing. Being alive, people want to do things because it has become a case of how do we get to the end of this? Every day is a day that has to be spent, right? Don't you feel that way sometimes? Another day, gotta spend it somehow. It's got to be spent somehow. Does that become a problem in your life? I've got a day, I have to spend it. What can I do today? I have to spend the day. Do I go shopping? Do I do the dishes? Do I spend time with my children? Do we go on holiday? All these problems that we have. I've got a day, how do I spend it? The problem I have is, I know how to spend my day, I just haven't got enough days. You'll only reach that point when you have understood the value of time. I think it was Charles Darwin who said, someone who hasn't understood the value of an hour has not seen the value of life. I'd even go as far as saying someone who hasn't understood the value of a minute or a second has not understood the value of life. Just ask yourselves, through the course of a day, at the end of the day, do you do a recollection? Do you balance the accounts at the end of the day? If you were to do a business, wouldn't you do that? You would balance your accounts at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month, end of 6 months, end of the year, right? Annual accounts, weekly accounts, monthly accounts, daily accounts. You're so diligent about how you manage your money. And several times in the sermons I've reminded you, do you guys have a time budget? I hope you're starting to put one together, because guess what? You're running out of it. You might wonder, why am I always going on about time and the value of time? Because this is the most important resource that you all have. Very seldom do people actually stop to think. This is the one resource that you can't earn more of, no matter what you do. Because if you're not careful, the repercussions of not spending your time wisely are so severe that one day you will regret. I'd hate to see any of you regret. Today I'll talk to you a little bit about something I made an entrance, or something I attempted to start last week, because I think now is probably a good time to start talking about it, at least in snippets. And I'm talking about the four great hells, the purgatory. Because something that, I think of you the way that I used to think, right? Because well-to-do, affluent, very educated, right? Having taken refuge in science more than religion. This is the way I used to be. So I was very skeptical of a lot of things. I didn't believe a lot of things that people used to tell me about the hells, about heavens. What a toss. If it's there, show me. Then I'll believe. This is why in the first sermons, right? We are apparently we are reaching 100 sermons in the next few weeks. So you're hitting a century. Is that something to be proud about? Oh, no. Think of it this way. I've had to preach to you 100 sermons and you're still here. In the time of the Buddha, how many sermons did those monks need? 1. Not 2, 1. Monk, this I, this Rupa, what do you think of it? Is it Nitya or Anicca? It's Anicca. It's not to my liking. It's conditional, cause and effect, all over. What do you think about the ear and sound? What do you think about nose and smell? What do you think about the tongue and taste? And finally, what do you think about the body and touch? Well, it's all the same, sire. Well, you've understood. Now, off you go. Sometimes monks would come back. Sir, can I ask another question? No, sod off. You won't waste my time. Don't come here wasting my time. You've understood the teaching. Don't come here again asking for instruction. The thing is, he could say it because he could check. Whoever came in front of him, he could check their understanding. This is a power that only the Buddha possesses. To what extent has someone understood his teaching? And if they are a Sotapanna, the Buddha is able to check that and verify that, and then he would say, you don't need any further teaching from me. Off you go. Practice. If you need teaching, I'll come find you. Don't you worry. You go. Practice. Like the great Moggallana. Before he became an Arahant, he had trouble staying awake. Is that a good thing? Well, I'm just saying he was a lot like you. So you can easily relate to the great Moggallana. He had trouble staying awake. So he was a Sotapanna by that point, but he had trouble staying awake. So there was one point he was sat down for meditation, but he kept falling asleep. So he didn't go for second instruction from the Buddha. The Buddha came to him, because he'd said, off you go. There are the monasteries. There are the forests. Off you go. You go and meditate. Because now, what did he mean by meditation? Contemplate. Reflect on what I have taught you. And the more you reflect on it, so what does he say you need? Time. You just need time. I can't give you time. I give you instruction. Now you have time. Go and practice. And it's through practice that you will make perfect. So off you go. But then when he started falling asleep, he starts dozing off. The Buddha comes to find him, and he says, Moggallana, what the hell do you think you're doing? Don't you think that's how the Buddha would have spoken to him? So how do you think the Buddha? Excuse me, Moggallana, wake up. Oh, little darling, you're falling asleep. I doubt that's how the Buddha would have spoken. He would have said, you fool, wake up. What do you think you're doing? Be diligent. You know you're falling asleep, so how dare you? Do you not realize the value of human life? Here are some things you can do if you're falling asleep, but don't just sit there dozing. Get up. Walk if you must. Go wash your face. Jump if you want to. Do whatever you want. Just don't fall asleep, because you're wasting your precious time. He would have been very stern. We're talking about the greatest personality there ever lived. This is the Supreme Buddha. So, diligence is a must, folks, in your practice. I keep telling you, and I haven't asked you the question yet, are you putting in the 15 minutes every day? One of these days I'm going to ask you, so I keep warning you, one of these days I'm going to ask you to put your hands up. Don't be the one who has to be ashamed, because you can't lie to a monk. That would be a sin in itself. So you better be the one. You better not be the one who can't put their hand up when I ask you, have you all been doing your 15 minutes every day? See, I didn't even ask you for half an hour. Not even 20 minutes. I just said 15 minutes. Do you remember why I said only 15 minutes? Why? It's easy to do. And besides, if you do the 15 minutes every day, consistently, that's the name of the game, consistency. If you do 15 minutes every day, I won't have to ask you to do half an hour. It'll be a natural urge for you to extend that duration. You will want to do it naturally. I won't have to force you to do it. 15 minutes is what I'm forcing you to do. Try 15 minutes. Half an hour will come naturally. 45 minutes will come naturally. An hour will come naturally. 12 hours will come naturally. 18 hours will come naturally. It'll all come naturally. You just have to practice. There'll be a day when waking up from meditation will be what you detest. Must I wake up from my meditation? Can I not continue? Give me 5 more minutes. Can I have another 5 more minutes, please? Is what you'll be asking for. You'll be begging for time to meditate. Because again, remember, this is contemplation. Because the more you contemplate, the happier, the joy that you feel inside you, folks. Trust me, because I say this through my own personal experience. The joy that you feel through reaching the higher states. I'm not talking about jhanas. I'm talking about cleansing your mind of defilements. Is uncomparable to anything else. Sensuality is a cesspit. Sensual indulgences is a cesspit compared to the bliss that you can experience through detachment, non-attachment. I'm telling you because I know this. Believe me when I say so. You won't have to believe me if you only tried it. Then you can believe yourself. You will know through conviction. You will know through experience. So, as I was saying, I'm going to start to talk to you just a little bit today about the naraka, or the purgatory, as I call these are the hells where there's the most amount of suffering. And I'm going to start to talk to you about this now, because I gather, a lot of you will have now been listening to the sermons for a long time, and you have found that the teaching of the Buddha is extremely logical. Every time someone comes and talks to me, I dare them, I challenge them, find a hole anywhere. You can break this system, and I will bow to you. I will give up my robes if you can prove to me that the Buddha's teaching is false. There you go, my challenge to you. I will come back to the life of a layperson if you can prove to me that the teaching of the Buddha is false. If you can find any gaps in his teaching, if you can pick holes in his teaching and say, no, attachment is not the cause of suffering, I will come right now. Come back to lay life. I will. With such confidence, I can tell you, keep trying. You'll never will. You never will. But don't give up. Keep trying. So, if you have come to some level of understanding that, hey, this is an extremely logical teaching. Who is the master of this teaching? Who is it that gave us this teaching? It's the Buddha. Now you begin to have some faith in the Buddha. Now you begin to have some conviction in the Buddha. With that faith, with that conviction, with that belief in his expounding, with his teaching, with his dispensation, now you're willing to consider some of the other things that he has explained and talked about in the scriptures. This is why today I've brought a copy of the Devaduta Sutta. One of the sutras in the Tripitaka in which he talks about the suffering in the hell. So I've managed to find an English translation of it. I want to bring this to life for you. This is the consequence if you don't attain the state of Sotapanna. Fearing the hells will not make you become a Sotapanna. Fear of the hells is not going to make you a Sotapanna. Comprehension of the Dhamma, that's what makes you a Sotapanna. But for someone who understands that this is the possibility, this is the kind of suffering that I'll have to endure as someone who falls into the purgatory, the urge, the drive with which you will want to do this will increase many hundredfold. This is why I want to talk to you about this. Because I read through the translation today. I've read the Sinhala one a long time ago, or the Pali and the Sinhala translations a long time ago. And so just as a reminder, I've got an English copy of it, translation, I was reading it. It brought goosebumps. Gave me the goosebumps. Because I know that whatever is here is true. I know this because when you have an understanding of the Dhamma as much as I do, you begin to realize actually all of this can be explained through Paticcasamuppada. Dependent origination can explain how all of these things actually work out the way they do. How the hells came into being can be explained through dependent origination. Let me read some of this to you. So the Buddha was at Anathapindika's monastery. And he addressed his monks. The Buddha says, "Monks, it's as if there were two households with doors and a man of good eyesight standing there between them." So there are two houses with doors facing each other, and a man who has good eyesight is observing what's going on. Would see people entering and leaving a house, wandering out and about. So some guy leaves one of the houses and he's wandering out and about. And how they pass between each of the houses. Leaving one house, passes into the other. So this is an observer. He says, in the same way, my dear monks, I, by means of the divine eye, purified and surpassing the human. So he says, with my divine eye, seeing beings passing away and reappearing, as I discern how they are inferior and superior through their actions. So what the Buddha is saying is, with my divine eye and with my omniscience, in other words, knowing everything, including the karma, what karmas they have done and what vipakas they deserve of all sentient beings. As a man observing a person leaving one house and entering another, and then leaving that house and entering another house, these beings who were endowed with good conduct of body, speech and mind, Kaya Sankara, Vachi Sankara and Mano Sankara, of good conduct. So those of you who have engaged in wholesome deeds and in the kusalas, who did not revile noble ones. What is to revile noble ones? Arupavada. This is why we always seek forgiveness for the Arupavada before we commence a sermon. Who held right views. So who of the belief, of cause and effect, that there is merit, there are meritorious deeds and there are unmeritorious deeds. The mother and father are special people and they're not just another man and a woman. That there are divine beings and there are beings who have attained supreme states that reached supreme attainments, with the breakup of their body after death, have reappeared in a good destination. So he says, like a man, like an observer who sees a man leaving one house and entering another house, I, as an observer, with my divine eye, have seen how beings who have been of good conduct through body, speech and mind, when they pass away from their life, so upon their death, how they enter good states. Or how these beings who were endowed with bad conduct of body, speech and mind, who reviled the noble ones, so having not only engaged in bad deeds but also conducted arupavada, with the breakup of the body after death, have reappeared in the realm of the hungry ghosts. This is the pretas. Or how these beings who were endowed with bad conduct of body, speech and mind, who reviled the noble ones, held wrong views and undertook actions under the influence of wrong views. Isn't that what we've been doing all along? Undertaking actions under the influence of wrong views by the Asat Purushas, have reappeared in the animal womb. So going into the animal realm as dogs and cows and sheep and all sorts of animals. Or how these beings who are endowed with bad conduct of body, speech and mind, under the influence of wrong views, with the breakup of the body, have reappeared in a plane of deprivation, a bad destination, a lower realm, the hell. And then he goes on to talk about the suffering in the hells. Wait for it. This sent a shiver down my spine. I want you to really picture this. Next week I'll have a video for you to show you how grievous, how deadly the consequences are. And remember what I talked to you about last week, right? If you don't, because someone could be skeptical about this stuff. You know, I'm not necessarily talking about you. There are people who are listening to these sermons, and there are people from the Western world who are not even Buddhists who listen to these sermons. Here's my proposition, which I proposed to you last week, but I'll remind you again. If the hells are fake, you got nothing to lose. Because all I'm asking you to do is abstain from unwholesome deeds. Don't kill, don't steal, don't engage from sexual or sensual misconduct, don't lie, don't backstab, don't engage in frivolous speech, don't backbite, and don't be covetous, don't have malice and anger and hatred in your minds. Did I tell you anything that you think, actually, I can't not kill? Was there anything that I said that you thought, that's so unfair? You said, don't lie. No, that's so unfair. Is there anything that I said that sounds unfair? No, you know, after all, if hell doesn't exist, at least you'll stay out of prison. But what if the hells actually do exist? Just what if? If they don't exist, nothing's lost. But what if they do exist? And then you don't believe in these consequences. So you think they don't exist, and therefore you continue to engage in unmeritorious, unwholesome deeds. What if they actually do exist? And then when judgment day comes. So I don't mean in the Catholic sense of judgment, right? I mean in the sense of this is your final moments of being alive. Because there are people who have gone through similar experiences who have talked to me, and this is why I'm telling you about this. People who have experienced near death. There's one of our monks who was so close to it. And he came and talked to me afterwards. And he said, Swaminatha, all the things that we've been listening to in Guru Hamda's sermons and all the things that it says in the sutras, gosh, they're so true. How your life flashes in front of you. All the things you've done in your life, the good deeds and the bad deeds, they all start flashing in front of you like a fast train moving in front of you. All the like carriages of a train. All those events, you begin to remind yourself. These moments flash in front of you. And then depending on which one you are more strongly attached to, that's where you stop. If you stop on a good car, good. But this is a gamble. This is why you have to become a Sotapanna. I'm talking to you about the consequences of not becoming one. Let me continue. The hell wardens. This is the Yamapallu. So I'll give you the singular terms because you'll be more familiar with them. The hell wardens, like the jail wardens. Okay? The hell wardens, the prison wardens. Seizing by the arms, present this being to King Yama. This is the king of the hells. Upon this presentation they say, this is a man, your majesty, with no respect for mother, with no respect for father. Why so? Remember, wrong views. Natti mata, natti pita, natti satta upapatika. Right? All these wrong views. My mother is just another woman. She brought me into this world, so she should bring me up. She should feed me. She should wash me. She should shelter me. She's just another mother. She's no one special in my life. Neither is my father. Have you not seen how some children conduct themselves like that towards their parents? No regard for the parents. Just another mother. They wanted to bring me to this world, so they brought me to this world. Now look after me if you did so. This is what awaits them. With no respect for mother, no respect for father, no reverence for the contemplatives. Contemplatives are those who have gone forth, like the monks and ascetics, who have gone forth and sought a higher life towards their spiritual practice. No reverence for Brahmins. So in this sense, Brahmins are actually noble ones. In the Brahmana Vagga, the Buddha says who's actually a Brahmin. And because if you remember in the Vasala Sutra, he says, Najajja Vasalo hoti, Najajja hoti Brahmano. One doesn't become a Brahmin or an outcast who's a Vasala by birth. It is through your actions one becomes an outcast, and it's through your actions one becomes a Brahmin. So in the Buddhist description, a Brahmin is actually an Arahant, not the man who wears a white thread over his body. These are the Brahmins you've seen on TV. That's not the Brahmin that the Buddha talks of, the noble ones. No honor for those who have sought spiritual advancement. Let your majesty decree his punishment. So this is the Yamapallu, the hell wardens, presenting this man to the King Yama, who's now about to give his punishment. Now, as some of you may have heard, the King Yama is a very ruthless deity. He's actually a deity. So his abode is actually in the heavens. But he goes to office in the hells. That's where he goes to do his job. Like you go to work and you come back home. So actually, now I'm not kidding, I'm serious. King Yama is actually a deva. His abode is in the Yama world. But to render his service as the king of the hells, to deliver his punishment and to deliver his judgment, he comes and serves in the hells. So the King Yama interrogates this man regarding the first Deva messenger. So it's called the Devaduta Sutra, and the meaning of that is Deva messengers. Duta is a messenger. Devaduta is a godly messenger. So King Yama says, see how benevolent this king is. Despite, or rather contrary to common belief that this guy is a very ruthless king, heartless, and wanting to punish people, actually no, he's a very benevolent king. He's very just. He wants to give this guy a second chance. This is why he interrogates this man and asks him about the 5 messengers. So this is what he says. My good man, didn't you see the first Deva messenger that appeared among human beings? So King Yama asks this man, I sent a messenger. Did you not see him? I didn't, Lord, replies this man. Remember, I always remind you that death, I always remind you about death, I always remind you about being heedful, I always remind you about being diligent in your practice. Don't wait, old age is catching up, right? And sickness and illness, these are all things that you're going to have to suffer from. You're lucky to be hearing this from me. Because these are the very things that King Yama will be asking you. He says, the King Yama says, my good man, didn't you see among human beings a tender baby, boy lying prone in its own urine and excrement? Do I not talk to you about these things? If you don't be heedful, if you don't be diligent in your practice, one day time's going to catch up with you. You're going to be sleeping in your own excrement. You'll be sleeping in your own urine, not being able to wash yourself, not being able to get out of bed. What are you going to do then? How many times have I asked you this by now? If you turn a blind eye to me, well, wait until you face Mr. Yama. Because although you can fall asleep when I ask you, when he's asking you, you can't fall asleep then. This man replies, I did, Lord. Yes, I did see this tender baby. Like a tender baby. A baby who's just been born, lying prone in its own urine and excrement because the baby is not able to tend to itself. The King Yama says, my good man, didn't the thought occur to you? I too am subject to birth and have not gone beyond birth. I too am subject. So the King Yama is asking this man, who is awaiting his judgment, did it not occur to you that you are also subject to birth and have not gone beyond birth? I'd better do good with body, speech and mind, such that I'm able to extinguish birth, bring this cycle of birth to an end. Did it not occur to you that you should be working on this? Isn't this what I always keep asking you? The man replies, I couldn't, my lord. I was heedless, my lord. You should, you could, but you don't. You could, you should, but you won't. Wait, be patient. One day you're going to be asked this question, and this is how this man is answering. I couldn't, my lord. I knew I should, but I couldn't. The King Yama says, my good man, through heedlessness. So to be heedful is to appreciate the value of life, the value of time, and be diligent in your practice. So someone who is heedless, have you heard the word appamada? Apramadi bhav. This is being heedful. To be heedless is someone who is wasteful of their time, of their life. Through heedlessness, you did not do what is good with body, speech and mind. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For the evil karma of yours was neither done by your mother, nor done by your father, nor done by your brother, nor done by your sister, nor done by your friends and companions, nor done by your kinsmen and relatives, nor done by the devas. There's a really salient point I want you to capture here. It's not simply the fact this Yama king is pointing out, these actions are yours. They're not the actions of your mothers or your fathers or your brothers or your sisters. That's not the only thing that we can get out of this. It may just be that these are the very people that influenced you to do the bad deeds. Remember, I have talked to you how people, karma and vipaka is like serving yourself at a buffet. You take your plate, you go along the buffet, and then you serve you. Everyone's prepared to serve you, right? Would you like some of this, sir? Maybe an extra chicken leg, sir? Some prawns, sir? Would you like another spoonful, sir? Right? Everyone's serving you as you go through the buffet. But when it's time to eat, do the people who have served you come help you eat? No. You've got to eat by yourself. No matter what's on the plate, you have to eat by yourself. This is the salient point we need to capture out of this. Because he says, for that evil karma of yours was neither done by your mother, but it might have been the mother who influenced you, nor by your father, it might have been the father who influenced you. Now I want you to think about how you may be influenced in your life by these very people, and how you may be the people influencing those in your guidance. Do you influence your children to be heedful, or do you influence them to be heedless? Do you remind them about the need to purify their mind, thoughts and actions? Or mind, body and actions? Or do you talk to them about becoming the best in the world, becoming number one, earn their riches, earn their wealth, become prosperous? Ask yourself, because this question your children will have to answer one day. That evil karma was done by yourself, and yourself will have to experience its consequences. It doesn't matter who influenced you. It doesn't matter who got you to do it. You can't then say, she said, she said. That doesn't stand in the court of judgment. He said, she said, you did it. That's all that matters. Then, having interrogated the man regarding the first Deva messenger, because now this man has failed the first test. But as you see how benevolent this king is. He's very kind. So he tries a second time. Further down the line is when actually I got my first electric shock down my spine. I'll come to that in a moment. So he tries a second time. My good man, didn't you see the second Deva messenger that appeared among human beings? Again this man answers, I didn't, Lord. The king Yama says, my good man, didn't you see among human beings a woman or man? Now ask yourself how close you are to this. 80, 90, 100 years old. Aged. Bent over. Supported by a cane. Palsied. Cerebral palsy. So, in other words, paralyzed. Miserable. Broken-toothed. Grey-haired. Or no head. Scanty-haired. Bald. Wrinkled. With limbs all blotchy. Am I close to some of you? Or getting there? Getting there. So the king Yama asks, did you not see among men people like this? This man says, I did, Lord. I did. Then the king Yama asks, my good man, didn't it occur to you that I too am subject to aging? Please ask yourselves, folks, is this not the question I keep asking you every time? Does it not occur to you that you are also destined for that journey? You're all destined for this inevitable consequence. I too am subject to aging, have not gone beyond aging. Therefore, I'd better do good with body, speech and mind. So what does being good mean? Becoming a what consultant? What consultant? What engineer does it mean to do good? Aeronautical? Computer? Civil? Is it BSc, MSc or PhD? Which one? No, he's talking about purifying the mind, purifying your actions, purifying your words by following the Noble Eightfold Path. Did it not occur to you that this was coming to you? Don't you think my dad is a Deva messenger? Do I not tell you, remind you how sometimes he speaks to me on the phone, he's always crying, these minis are hurting, backs hurting, heads aching, this aching, that aching, everybody, everywhere aching. My dad is a Deva messenger. Did I not tell you how when he came and worshipped me, he couldn't stand up on his own 2 feet? How I had to help him? Was he not a Deva messenger to me? I see him as a Deva messenger. I'm asking you, are you? Folks, you're going to be asked this question. I'm giving you practice papers. So you can practice writing the answers. Why? It's coming. I couldn't, my Lord. I was heedless, my Lord. What, you think he's saying this with a smile on his face? No. Remember, the hell wardens, I've seized him, they're holding him, getting him to answer these questions, just in case there may be some way that this man could be forgiven. This is what the King Yama wants to do, because he realizes this is the last step, this is the last line of defense. If you fail this line of defense, then the suffering is eternal. Next to the Buddha, my favorite person is King Yama. Because even someone who is at the gates of the hell, he tries to turn him back, gives him at least one other chance to save this man. Trying to remind him, have you done any good? Please remind yourself, have you done any good? Have you been generous? Have you given alms? Have you helped the poorly? Have you been virtuous? Have you refrained from the unwholesome deeds? Did you take upon vows to abide by the precepts and keep to them? Or did you break them? Were you a good person? Did you listen to what the Swamin once said? Did you practice? Did you do the 15 minutes every day? Seriously folks, I'm not kidding with you guys. I want you to take this seriously because this is coming. Why do you think I'm so passionate about this? I could read this and serve myself. Why do I bring a copy of this and read this out to you? I could have talked to you about, I don't know, something else. Right, these flowers, right, look at them. Nice, hey? And you would have still listened to it. But no, I want to give you meaning. I want to help you understand that if you don't prepare yourselves, this is what's coming. At the end, the Buddha says something so profound. I'll come to that in a moment. Don't vex till then. The King Yama says, my good man, through heedlessness you did not do what is good with body, speech and mind. So what does he mean? You didn't become a doctor. You should have. How come you didn't do your LLBs? You should have. There was all the chance to do your Sima. Why didn't you do it? That's what he's asking, right? No, that's not what he's asking. That's what your dad's asking. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For that evil come of yours was neither done by your mother, nor your father, nor done by your brother, nor done by your sister, nor done by your friends and companions, but weren't they the very people who influenced you? That is what I want you to think about. All these Asatpurushas, he's giving you a list of Asatpurushas. He's telling you, didn't Guru Hamdru say, don't stick around with the bad guys? Walk away from the 95%. That's what he's asking you. How many times were you warned to walk away from the 95%? Walk away from bad associations. It was not done by your kinsmen and your relatives, nor done by the devas. The evil karma was done by yourself, and therefore you yourself will experience the consequences. Then, having interrogated the man regarding the second Deva messenger, the King Yama interrogates him regarding the third, because even on the second occasion this man says, no sir, I was heedless. I didn't do what I should have done. I didn't cleanse my mind, body and actions and speech. I was heedless. I didn't do what I had to do. See, at which point here does it say, but I've got an account in which I have $50 million. Where does it say that? Or did they forget to print it? Or where does it say, I was the president of the country? I was the chief executive officer of the company, so how can you should give me a second chance. Where does it say that? Where does King Yama ask for educational qualifications? How come, folks, this has become the most important thing in your lives? Remember Guru Hamdru asked you, the test, the final test, you and I, we all have to sit the same test, and it doesn't matter what you've done with your life up until that point, you and I, we both have to sit the same test. In other words, he's asking you, are you a Sotapanna? Is that not the summary of all this? Are you a Sotapanna? Have you become a stream enterer? And all this man can say is, yes Lord, no Lord. He's not given an opportunity to explain yourself. He doesn't ask. King Yama doesn't say, oh, you didn't. Oh, how come? Is it because you were too busy tending to your children? Is that why? Or was it your wife who needed you by your side, therefore you couldn't do meritorious deeds and attend to the attainments? Is that why? No, there's no chance to explain. Extenuating circumstances don't appear anywhere.
It's simply yes, no. It's very binary. When you are face with King Yama, it's a binary question, yes or no. All your excuses don't stand that test. This is why I speak to you so passionately about this. I want you to realize the gravity of this. My good man, didn't you see the third Deva messenger? See, he's giving him a third chance. Is it any wonder that he's my second favorite man on this planet? Next to the Buddha, this is my favorite chap, King Yama. He gives every being a third chance. Not one, not two, he gives a third chance. Didn't you see the third Deva messenger that has appeared among human beings? This man says, I didn't, Lord. How come, my good man? Didn't you see among human beings a woman or man diseased, in pain, severely ill, lying in his own urine and excrement, lifted up by others and laid down by others? How many times have I asked you this question? Where I see it, I'm a messenger of the King Yama. How many times have I asked you, have you prepared yourself for the inevitable? Because this day is coming. Do you not see that you're all moving to this inevitable state of total incapacitation and mental exasperation? This is what King Yama is going to be asking you. I hope you have your answers prepared, because this man didn't, and he says, I did, Lord, I did see them. Well then, how come, my good man, that the thought didn't occur to you that I too am subject to illness? I too have not gone beyond illness. I'd better do good with body, speech and mind. How come you didn't realize? So let me read on. How come you didn't realize that you had to do biology, physics and chemistry for your A-levels, my good man? Why did you settle for arts? This man replies, I couldn't, my lord. I should have, but I couldn't. I was heedless, my lord. Then King Yama says, my good man, through heedlessness you did not do what is good with body, speech and mind. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For that evil come of yours was neither done by your mother, nor your father, nor your brother, nor your sister. I'll include a few more that's not in here. Nor your husband, nor your wife, nor your eldest child, nor your youngest child, nor your friends or companions. None of your kinsmen or relatives are responsible for what you have done. The evil karma that was done by yourself, and yourself will experience the consequences. Having interrogated the man regarding the third Deva messenger, because again this man says, no sir, I was heedless, I didn't do what I had to do. And again, my second favorite man says, my good man, didn't you see the fourth Deva messenger? Wow. You should have a statue of the King Yama next to the statue of Buddha and worship him with flowers. Lay flowers at his feet and worship him, because, well, you better make him happy. You're going to be seeing him shortly. If you don't become a Sotapanna. Didn't you see the fourth Deva messenger that has appeared among human beings? I didn't, my lord. Then King Yama says, how come, my good man, didn't you see among human beings kings catching a thief, a criminal, having tortured him in many ways? Did I not used to talk about how people get caught by drug dealers and how then they get punished? And the punishments that were given to people in the time of the kings, those gruesome forms of punishment, splitting people up in two, chopping them up with axes and knives. Have I not talked to you about these things? See, I'm a messenger of King Yama. Did you not see them flogging him with whips, beating him with canes, beating him with clubs, cutting off his hands, cutting off his feet, cutting off his hands and feet, cutting off his ears and cutting off his nose, subjecting him to the porridge pot, which is essentially boiling him. And the polished shell shave. Do you know what that is? It's where they take stones, sharp, or rocks. They're very sharp, and what they do, this is a form of punishment that was given back in the day. They would scrub it over your head until the skin would come off. And they'll keep scrubbing until they reach the skull. That's called the polished shell shave, because at the end of that procedure, you've got a polished shell. What shell? The skull. Lovely. The Rahu's mouth. That's another one of my favorite punishments. Heard of it? It's where they ask you to, or not ask you, they get you to open your mouth. They light a little candle and place it on your tongue, and they put a girdle so you can't close your mouth again. So it remains open, so there's plenty of air flowing through to keep the candle burning. When does it stop burning? After it's burned through the insides of your body. So it starts burning through the top of your mouth, then through your skull, all up the way up to your brain. So can you imagine the kind of death and the pain that this man has to endure? This is a form of punishment that was given back in the day. So I know what you're thinking. It's back in the day, Swaminatha, so why should I worry now? What if you get caught by some drug dealers? What if some gangsters catch you? What if they catch the wrong guy? Did I not give you a story about how one of our monks and one of his friends got caught up for not even having done the deed? The wrong guy got caught. What was the punishment he got? A cleaver going through his head. Ultimately they got the wrong guy. I think I've told you the story probably a couple of times now. Rahu's mouth is that, so that is a punishment. They put this candle on the tongue with a girdle so you can't close your mouth, and then it burns you from the inside. So King Yama is asking, did you not see these kinds of punishment that was given to people who engage in wrong deeds? And did it not occur to you then that you should not be doing such deeds? Ask yourself, folks, how many bad things do you do in hiding? Because if it came to light that you do such deeds, what kind of punishment you'll have to face? Because no matter who you hide from, you can't hide from your own conscience. And you can't hide from the King Yama, because he knows everything you've done. Because it's karma that takes you there, and you can't hide from karma. I mean, the Buddha couldn't. What chance do you and I have? The Rahu's mouth, the flaming garland. Well, you can imagine what that might be. So it's a garland that is put around your neck and all over your body, and then it's set alight. Well, the result of that, well, you have a human barbecue at the end of it. The blazing hand. You know, the hands, limbs, they are set alight. Set on fire. Meat hooks. People hung on hooks until they bleed to death. Lye pickling. Do you know what a pickle is? Of course I know what a pickle is. So I mean, once I have it every day. Lye is a strong chemical. So lye pickling is where they put you in an acid bath, essentially. These are forms of punishment. When? Back in the old days, huh? So we don't need to worry about that now, eh? A lye pickling. So essentially, you are the pickle. You have cucumber pickle. How does it become pickle? You put it in acid. So here he's talking about human pickle. When you get put into an acid bath. You should watch Breaking Bad. You'll see that. Pivot on a stake. What does that mean? You get a rod shoved up your body, and then left to die. Having him splashed with boiling oil. These are all forms of punishment. Devoured by dogs. All forms of punishment. There are plenty of websites, folks, where people do these things. They deliver these kinds of gruesome punishments and actually put up videos. I'm not going to name any of those websites because that would not be right of me to do so. But if you search the web, there's plenty of it. It's out there. It's out there in the public. And think about it, right? If a monk like me living in a monastery can access a website like that, what about gangsters? What about your enemies? If someone wants to punish you, if someone wants to, take out a grudge on you, someone wants to avenge you, there's plenty of ways and means out there. And if you don't have any ideas, there are plenty of websites you can go and get such ideas. A monk living in a monastery can access such information. Well then, what is there to say about people out there? I assume none of you have enemies. Don't we know, eh? Impaled alive on a stake. To impale is to, again, put someone on a stake. So essentially to stick a stake under this man. So usually it goes up the backside, right through the body and out the mouth. Cutting off his head with a sword. So essentially King Yama is asking, did you not see how people who conducted themselves in the wrong ways, having done bad deeds, were punished by the kings and others? This man says, I did, my lord. Well, my good man, didn't the thought occur to you then that those who do evil actions are tortured in these many ways in here and now, and how much more in the hereafter, and therefore you'd better do good with body, speech and mind, and then also do further maths and calculus for your A-levels? I couldn't, my lord. I should have, but I didn't. I was heedless. The King Yama says, my good man, through heedlessness you did not do what is good with body, speech and thought. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For that evil karma of yours was neither done by your mother, by your father, by your brother, by your sister, and my two favorites, by your husband, by your wife, and nor by your friends or companions, nor done by your kinsmen and relatives, and nor done by the devas. The evil karma was done by yourself, and yourself will experience its consequences. Having interrogated the man regarding the fourth Deva messenger, what do you think King Yama does next? He deserves worship, doesn't he? Next day after we say Namo Tassa Bhagavato, we'll have a gatha to pay our homage to King Yama also, okay? We'll do that from next week. My good man, didn't you see the fifth Deva messenger that appeared among human beings? I didn't, my lord. Ah, well, let me remind you. My good man, didn't you see among human beings a woman or man 1 day, 2 days or 3 days dead? Bloated, livid and oozing with lymph? Did you not see dead men? Have I not reminded you about dead people and how people die, and that you are all destined for that? If you can't remember, well, just wait. You'll get the same question from King Yama. Oh, I did, Lord. Then King Yama says, my good man, didn't the thought occur to you then? I too am subject to death. Having not gone beyond death, I'd better do good with my body, speech and mind. I should have, I could have, but I didn't, my lord. Did you do your 15 minutes? I should have, I could have, but I didn't, my lord. My good man, through heedlessness, you did not do what is good with body, speech and mind. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For that evil come of yours was neither done by your mother, nor your father, nor your brother, nor your sister, nor your uncles, aunts or nephews, nor your colleagues, nor your best mate, nor Facebook, nor Mark Zuckerberg. No, it doesn't say any of that here. None of them are responsible for your actions. You and you alone are responsible for your actions. You and who else? And who else? No, you and you alone are responsible for your actions. But he said so. But she said I should do it. So what does King Yama say? I don't care. Talk to the hand. I don't care. You did it, and therefore you shall have to suffer the consequences. Do you realize why we keep saying, walk away from the 95%? Stop your acquaintance with ignoble, immoral people? Do you realize why we keep emphasizing this, folks? Walk away from the bad crowd. Walk away from the people that talk to you about indulging in desire. Because that's destroying yourselves. You're destroying your life. It's corrupting you from head to toe. Walk away from them. Walk away from the people who light the fires of aversion, the people who light the fires of anger and hatred in your hearts. Walk away from them. They're burning you up from the inside, and one day you will burn from head to toe. I haven't even started talking to you about the punishments, because King Yama is such a kind and generous and benevolent person. That's why I haven't got to it yet, because he's giving this man a 5th chance. I should have. I could have. But I didn't, my lord. The King Yama says then, my good man, through heedlessness you did not do what is good with body, speech and mind. And of course, my good man, they will deal with you in accordance with your heedlessness. For that evil come of yours was neither done by, come on, your mother, your father, nor done by your brother, nor your sister, nor done by your friends and companions, nor done by your kinsmen and relatives, and nor done by the devas. It was not done by your husband, it was not done by your wife, it was not done by your children. It was done by you and you alone. And therefore, you yourself will have to experience the consequences of your karma. So now he's given this man 5 chances, right? It's the next line that sent a shiver down my spine. Let me read this out to you. Then, having interrogated this man regarding the 5th Deva messenger, King Yama falls silent. It's a deafening silence. What does this silence imply? There's no other way to save you. You have gone beyond any opportunity of salvage. I have given you 5 chances. I asked you, did you not see people or young babies born and lying prone in their excrement, in their urine, helpless, unable to fend for themselves? Did you not see them? Did you not think that this was going to happen to you? Having seen them, did you not make a change in the way your body, thoughts and actions had to be conducted? Did you not decide, it's now time to change? No, I didn't, because I was heedless. Oh, alas. Then he gave him a 2nd chance. Did you not see old people, frail and weak and unable to, again, tend to themselves? Did you not see them? I did. Well, did that not occur to you then? Did it not occur to you then you should be doing something about this? Do something about your fate, because this is the destiny that awaits. No, sir, I was heedless. Did you not see people who were being dragged to their punishment? Punished by the kings, by the law enforcement agencies or whatever. Punished because they'd done bad deeds. Did you not see them? I did, my Lord. Well, then how come it did not occur to you that you should do something about it then? Did you not see the dead? Did you not realize that you are also someone who has not escaped death? Did you not realize you have to do something about it then? Oh, I was too busy doing my MBBS, doing my FRCP, doing my BSc, doing my AAT, doing my ta-ta-da-ta-da. You can put all your qualifications here. Funny thing is, he doesn't ask for any of them. He doesn't say, let us see your CV. He doesn't ask for a copy of the CV. It doesn't say anywhere, show me your resume. But where have you been spending your lives? What have you been doing with your lives? Building up and forging up your resumes? Making it spick and span, right? Getting all the stars on it. Making it shine and above the rest. They don't ask for it in the afterworld. They don't ask for it. All they ask for is, how did you conduct your body, speech and thoughts? Are you a Sotapan? King Yama falls silent. Then, this is where the fun begins. This is where the horror story starts. The hell wardens torture the evildoer with what's called a 5-fold imprisonment. They drive, and it's only just beginning, they drive a red-hot iron stake through one hand. The punishment has now begun. They drive a red-hot iron stake through the other hand. They drive a red-hot iron stake through one foot. And they drive a red-hot iron stake through the other foot. Then they drive a red-hot stake through the middle of his chest. 5-fold punishment. This man feels pain, piercing feelings, and yet, this is where it sent the second shiver down my spine. And yet, he does not die as long as his evil karma is not exhausted. He does not die as long as his evil karma has not exhausted. Because what did he use his hands for throughout his life? To do good? No. To do evil to others, to hurt others, to harm others, to steal, to torture other people. What did he use his feet for? To torture others, to hurt others, to do evil to others, to destroy others' lives. Humans, animals, whatever. He did no good to other people. Why? He was given 5 chances. Remind yourself, this guy, King Yama is urging this man, please, think, perhaps there's some good deed you've done in your life that you can remind of. But no, sir, I haven't done any good deeds. Well, then it's too late. And then one through the chest. Why through the chest? That's where the heart is. So, through body, speech and mind, this man has done no good to other people. Done evil to other people. Destroyed other people's lives. Cursed other people. Black magic. Destroyed other people's lives. Breaking up relationships. Cursing other people. Torturing other people. Making life a hell, a living hell for other people. Backstabbing. Lying to take away other people's opportunities of any success. This is what he gave other people, and now he's getting what he deserves. Then the hell wardens lay him down and slice him with axes. Anyone sliced bread before? So this is slice by slice, slicing up a human being. Very methodical, right? Surely they must have done some kind of degree for this. Very methodically, slicing, not chopping, they're slicing. Inch by inch, this man gets sliced up. Is this very disturbing for you? Should I stop? Because if this sounds like a nightmare, wait till you actually face the nightmare from which you can't wake up. This you can stand any time and go out of the room and then, oh, thank goodness, I don't want to listen to it anymore. One day this nightmare is going to be real, and it's going to be a nightmare you can't wake up from. This is why I'm talking to you about this now, folks. I want to save you from falling into this pit. A pit that is eternal. You can't get out of it for a very, very, very long time. Then they hold him feet up and head down, so upside down, and slice him again with axes. Then they harness him to a chariot and drive him back and forth over ground that is burning, blazing and glowing. So imagine embers, red hot coal. Tied this man to a chariot, and this chariot is being driven up and down, dragging this man along. You can see all of this in the video next week. Then they make him climb up and down a vast mountain of embers that is burning, blazing and glowing. A massive mountain that is made of embers. So it's like, imagine a rock or volcano with lava oozing out of it. And a man having to climb this, up and down. Then they hold him feet up and head down and plunge him into a red-hot copper cauldron that is burning. Red-hot copper cauldron. So this is molten lava that this man is chucked into. Did I not tell you about one of our monks who related a story about his mother? And how she saw this. This premonition she saw before her final moments. She saw this was going to happen to her. This was what inspired this gentleman to become a monk eventually. He was a monk with us. He ordained with us, having listened to his mother, because at her final moments she began to see what was going to happen to her, and she was talking about this. She hadn't read the Devaduta Sutra, she saw it. Then they hold him feet up and down and plunge him into a red-hot copper cauldron that is burning, blazing and glowing. There he boils with bubbles forming. And as he is boiling there with bubbles forming, he goes up now, he goes down now, he goes around. There he feels painful, piercing feelings, yet he does not die as long as this evil karma is not exhausted. Remember, every chitta that was involved in doing this karma will reap its vipaka. How many chittas do you need to do a bad deed or any deed? Many, many, many trillions. To do this, I need at least 1 trillion chittas. What about killing a cow? What about stealing something? Doesn't matter what it is you steal. Money, another man's wife, someone's clothes, watch, house, someone's fame, someone's another man's opportunity. Someone's in line to become the next president. You step in place and destroy that man. Any chance that this guy's got of becoming president, you take his place through corruption. Don't people do these things in society? I'm not going to ask, have you done them? Then the hell wardens throw him into the great hell. So that was just the beginning. Now they throw him into the great hell. As to the great hell monks, the Buddha says, it's four-cornered and has 4 gates, set in the middle of each side. So there are 4 sides to this, and in the middle of each of the sides there's a gate. a huge gate. It's surrounded by an iron fortress wall and roofed with iron. The floor is made of red-hot iron, heated and fully blazing. It stands always, spreading 100 leagues all around. So this is the size of the hell, the great hell the Buddha is talking about. He describes its dimensions. The flame that leaps from the eastern walls, of course there's eastern, western, northern and southern. The flame that leaps from the eastern wall of the great hell strikes the western wall. So this is 100 leagues in breadth. Now imagine the size of the flames. Eastern wall flames reach the western wall. The flame that leaps from the western wall strikes the eastern wall. The flame that leaps from the northern wall strikes the southern wall, and the flame that leaps from the southern wall strikes the northern wall. So tell me, which spot is there that has no flames? Where's the spot? Give me longitude and latitude. And he goes on. The flame that leaps from the bottom strikes the top. The flame that leaps from the top strikes the bottom. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, and yet he does not die as long as the evil karma that he has done is not exhausted. There comes a time when eventually, now you're going, no, wait. Why such a rush? Wait. Eventually, with the passing of a long stretch of time, the eastern gate of the great hell opens. Freedom! Therefore he runs, rushing quickly. And as he runs there rushing quickly, his outer skin burns. I'll show this all on video next week. So make sure you don't turn up next week. His inner skin burns. His flesh burns. His tendons burn. Even his bones turn to smoke. But when he finally arrives at the eastern gate, the door slams shut. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, yet he does not die as long as his evil karma has exhausted. There comes a time when ultimately, when the passing of a long stretch of time, the western gate of the wall opens. Then what does he do again? He runs quickly. There's my chance. And as he runs there again, rushing quickly, his outer skin burns, his inner skin burns, his flesh burns, tendons burn, and even the bones of his body begin to smoke. But then he finally arrives. The door slams shut. And this repeats with the northern gate and the southern gate. Because with every gate opening, this man's given new hope. Because what did this man do while he was alive? He gave people hope. He gave people hope of something that he knew was never reachable, never achievable. He created false hopes in people's hearts and in their minds. And when given false hope, these people, they were burning on the inside, trying to reach for the stars that were unreachable. But they toiled, they worked hard, strenuously, to try to reach the unreachable. And towards that goal they expended their entire life. Human life was expended because this man was an evil companion towards other men. Now, what does he have to do? Suffer for the consequences of his mother's, his and his alone evil karma. There comes a time. So his time now in the great hell has passed, running from the eastern to the western, to the northern to the southern, and so on and so forth. Right next to the where are we? Okay. So as he runs there, so he's now running to the eastern gate. Runs quickly, his outer skin burns, his inner skin burns, his flesh burns, his tendons burn, even the bones turn to smoke. And this time when he reaches the eastern gate, he gets there just in time. Yippee! And he gets out through the gate. Fantastic, right? Let's put a Facebook update. But right next to the great hell is a vast excrement hell. What's excrement? Yes. Feces and urine. That's all there is in that hell. So it's like you falling into a well of feces and excrement. There's no surface to it. You're just in the middle of it. You can't come out of it to breathe and then go back in. No, there's no such thing. You don't need to breathe in this place. Because how long does this life last? Until all the karma has expired or is exhausted. He gets out through the gate, but right next to the great hell is a vast excrement hell. He falls into that. And in that excrement hell, here's what happens. You're thinking excrement hell, okay, it's just a bit nasty. I can probably wash myself by the time after I get out. It's just a bit of caca. No, it gets better. And in the excrement hell, needle-mouthed beings. There are beings there whose mouths are needles. Needle-mouthed beings bore into his outer skin. So he's surrounded by needle-mouthed beings who begin to bore into his outer skin. Having bored into his outer skin, they bore into his inner skin. And having bored into his inner skin, they begin to bore into his flesh. Having bored into his flesh, they begin to bore into his tendons. And having bored into his tendons, they begin to bore into the bone. Having bored into the bone, they feed on the marrow. What do these beings eat? Their food is marrow. How do they get to the marrow? Doing a bone marrow transplant? No, they have to bore through the body until they get to the innermost parts of the body, which is the bone marrow. And then they begin to feed on the marrow. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, and yet he does not die as long as his evil karma is not exhausted. Right next to the excrement hell is the hot ashes hell. This is a journey. It's not like he can go through one and okay, then that's it, now let me go back again. No. You start the journey, you got to complete the journey. These are all the checkpoints along the way. Right next to the excrement hell is the vast ashes hell, and he falls into that. There again he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, and yet he does not die as long as his evil karma is not exhausted. Remember, as long as his evil karma is not exhausted, that's per hell. And there are 8 of these hells. Per hell we are talking about. Life in one of these hells is 500 hell years. I did the math recently. 500 hell years. One day in 500 hell years, right? 500 of these. Divide that by 365, you get one day. Or rather you get 100 years. Or rather divide that by 500, you get 1 year. Divide that by 365, you get 1 day. How many human days do you think that is? $9 trillion. 9 trillion human days. Times by 365. Times by 500. Life in one of the hells. I don't want you going there. I really, 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 really don't want you going there. It's not a nice place. It's not the top holiday destination, although some people think it is. Right next to the hot ashes hell is the vast Simbali forest. Let me explain what that is. Reaching up a league, covered with thorns 16 finger breadths long. So this is called the Simbali forest. So there they have trees, and each of these trees they've got thorns on their stem throughout the tree, and each of these thorns is 16 finger breadths long. So that's 16 fingers wide. This is 1 finger breadth, that's 2 finger breadths, 3 finger breadths, and so imagine 16 finger breadths long. That's the length of 1 thorn. And these thorns are burning, blazing, and glowing. He enters that and is made to climb up and down. This is the punishment. He's got to climb these trees up and down. How come? Remember, these are the results of the deeds that he's done. What did he do as a person? As a human being, what did he do? What did he give other people? Pain, torture, mentally and physically. His words were like thorns to other people. The way he spoke to other people. Have you not seen people like that? Every time they open their mouth, people faint. Not because he's not brushed his teeth in the morning, but because the words that come out of his mouth are so spiteful, with so much anger, so much hatred, that the worst thing that can happen to any person is to listen to this man speak. Because through his words, he tortures other people. He takes the living daylight out of them, makes life a living hell for them, abuses them verbally and physically. So now it's time to pay. I want you to think about these things. The reason I'm talking, this is not just me relating a story like Kathandarada. I'm telling you these things, folks, because I want to look at your own lives as well as the lives of other people that you associate with. If this is the kind of people you associate with, what should you do? Throw a party and now walk away. And if it's the kind of person you are, when should you start to change? Tomorrow? No, yesterday. Today is too late. Yesterday, start to change. What do I mean? Change now. Some of you may have maids, servants who attend to your needs. Ask yourself, how do you talk to them? How do you treat them? Do you talk to them with integrity? Do you give them due respect? I'm not saying worship them every day, but do you treat them like another human being? Do you talk to them respectfully? What about your colleagues? What about people who work under you? Your employees. How do you treat them? How do you talk to them? How do you work with them? Do you abuse them? Do you make life a living hell for them? Well, if you do, here's what's coming. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, yet he does not die. Why? As long as his evil karma has not exhausted. Right next to the Simbali forest is a vast sword leaf forest. No brownie points for guessing why it's called a sword leaf. He enters that. There the leaves, stirred by the wind, cut off his hand, cut off his foot, cut off his hand and foot, cut off his ear, cut off his nose, and cut off his ear and nose. The leaves of these trees are actually swords. So like leaves falling in a gust, these swords fall off the trees, and they fall onto this man's body, cutting bits of him off. Sounds like a fantasy, right? Oh, then wait. Don't forget to send us a postcard. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, yet he does not die, as long as the evil karma is not exhausted. Right next to the sword leaf forest, and just when you thought that must be it surely, how can any being endure so much pain? Right next to the sword leaf forest is the vast Lai water river. Lai again is extremely concentrated chemicals like acids and bases and things like that. I think they're mostly alkalines. Potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, that's the definition of lye anyway. So extreme, just imagine very highly concentrated chemicals. It's like an acid bath. Because what did he do as a human being? How did he treat other people? What effect did this man have on other people's lives? Always giving them what? Praises? No. Associating this man was like taking an acid bath. Because such was the pain that he inflicted on other people. Such was the grief that this man inflicted on other people. Now ask yourselves, do you do these kind of things? If so, change. When? When? Yesterday. Change. He falls into that. There he swept downstream, he swept upstream, and he swept downstream and upstream. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, but yet he does not die. As long as his evil karma is not exhausted. Then the hell wardens pull him out with a hook. Oh, finally the hell wardens are back. So you must be asking, where the hell have you been? They must be saying, funny you should ask. They place him on the ground and say to him, well, good man, how have you been? What is it you want? Now this man, for so many eons, having spent now time in the hells, every man, what's the most important thing? Food, right? Food, of course. Well, so the same is for him. He replies, I am hungry, Venerable Sirs. See, he should have said Venerable Sir to the Swamin Wahanses while he was alive. But no, he said, these Tattakaryas. Now who does he have to say Venerable Sirs to? The hell wardens. So the hell wardens, having listened to this man say that he's hungry, they say, oh, we'll feed you, don't you worry. So the hell wardens pry open his mouth and stuff it with cheese and bacon burgers. Open his mouth with red hot iron tongs, burning, blazing and glowing, and throw into it a copper bowl. It's a bowl made of copper. That's red hot. It burns his lips. It burns his mouth. It burns his stomach. And comes out the other side. Carrying along his bowels and intestines. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, and yet he does not die for as long as his evil karma has not exhausted. Then the hell wardens say to him again, well, good man, what do you want now? Well, having eaten plenty, what does he want now? To drink, of course. He replies, I am thirsty, Venerable Sirs. Why has he got to say Venerable Sirs to these people now? Because previously, when he was a man, he said Tatyas to the people who deserve to have been called Venerable Sirs. So the hell wardens pry open his mouth with red hot iron tongs, burning, blazing and glowing, and pour into it what? It says black label here. Absolutely, sir. Well, very pretty close to black label, right? And pours into it molten copper, burning, blazing and glowing. It burns his lips. You know the rest. It burns his mouth, it burns his stomach, and comes out the other side, carrying along his bowels and intestines. There he feels excruciating pain, piercing feelings, and yet he does not die as long as the evil commerce has not been exhausted. So he's gone through this process now, right? Start to end. You know what they do next? This is where the third shiver went down my spine. As the evil comer has not yet exhausted, the hell wardens throw him back into the great hells once more. Back to square one. The Buddha says now, once monks, so the Buddha is now again addressing his monks, the thought occurred to King Yama, those who did evil actions in the world are tortured in these many ways. You know, this is the King Yama, having seen how much people have to endure pain and torture because of the results of their deeds. The King Yama feels this way. Oh, how I wish I can gain the human state. Aren't you humans? Or that I might gain the human state, and that a Tathagata, worthy and rightly self-awakened, might arise in the world. He feels for himself, and he feels for all these beings who have to go through the torture, suffering for the deeds that they have committed. He feels sorry for them, and he says, oh, how I wish that an awakened one may come into this world. When will be the time when a Tathagata will come back into this world so that these people can be freed once again? Do you realize, folks, how lucky you are? And that I might attend to the Tathagata. The King Yama, seeing this, thinks to himself, oh, how I might attend to the Tathagata, and that he might teach me the Dhamma. Though the King Yama is thinking, if only I was so lucky. What is he wishing for? What you have. He is wishing for what you have right now, and that I might understand his Dhamma. I tell you, monks, the Buddha says. So the Buddha says now, how come he's able to relate this, all these details in such vivid detail? How come he's able to give these descriptions? He says, I tell you, monks, I tell you this, not from having heard it from another man or Brahman. On the contrary, I tell you this just as I have known and seen for myself and understood for myself with my divine powers. So the Buddha says this and relates all these details in its intricate details, having seen it himself. None of this is hearsay. None of this is he said, she said. The Buddha saw this. Like a man who's observing a man die and walk into another, a man come out of one house, walk into another. He sees how beings die, and as a result of the karmas that they've done, as a result of the deeds that they've done, how they have to suffer with their consequences. Having said that, the teacher, the great one, said, warned by the Deva messengers, those youths who are heedless grieve for a long, long time. Now ask yourself, is it you he's referring to? And I hope not. Please ask yourself, is this you that the Buddha is referring to? Warned by the Deva messengers, those youths who are heedless grieve for a long, long time. People entering a lower state. But those here who are good, now I hope he's talking about you. People of integrity, when warned by the Deva messengers, aren't heedless. So they're diligent of the noble Dhamma. Seeing danger in clinging, in the coming into play of birth and death, they are released from lack of clinging. So once the clinging stops, they are released from the cycle of birth and death. In the ending of birth and death, they, happy, arriving at safety, fully unbound, and having gone beyond all animosity and danger, have escaped all suffering once and for all. The Devadutta Sutta from the Majjhima Nikaya, Uparipannasake. Any of you who wishes to go and study it further. I've got one copy here. If any of you want it, you're welcome to have it. Do you see why I urge you so much? I have nothing to gain, folks, out of you doing what you have to do, what you ought to do. See, where does it say how much money do you have in your bank account? Where does it ask how much stake do you have in Microsoft? Where does it ask you that? Where does he ask you that? Where does he ask you whether you own a Rolex or a BMW? Where does he ask you that? Has that become the most important things? Have they become the most important things in your life? Because all of those things are useless. In the face of King Yama, all of those things are useless. Doesn't matter how many children you brought into this world, or whether they have gone on to become rich, powerful, authoritative figures in the country. Doesn't matter, because ultimately you suffer for the deeds of your children and no. You suffer for your own deeds. Ask yourself, how much might you have sinned on behalf of your children? I'm sorry to remind you of this. How much might you have sinned on behalf of your children? How many little insects might you have squashed? How many lives might you have ended to save one life? Your child was saved as a result. But what about all those lives you took? Now who has to pay? Who has to pay? Not your child. You have to pay. Because not your brother, not your sister, not your husband, not your wife, not your kinsmen, not your companions, not your mother, not your father, none of them are going to be responsible for what you've done. You have to reap what you sow. Becoming a Sotapanna does not exterminate all the bad deeds you've done. They're still there. But it gives you an insurance that because you will never be born in one of the great hells, there is no opportunity for those bad deeds to bear fruit. This is why becoming a Sotapanna is the most important thing in a Pruthakjana's life. If you are a Pruthakjana, if you are an ordinary being with no comprehension of the Dhamma, if you are a worldly being with no comprehension of the Dhamma, the most important thing in your life is to become the president of this country. And towards that goal, you have to mold your children. Towards that goal, you have to teach them. Send them to the best schools. Not state schools, send them to the international schools. So they can pick up good English. No, send them to the States, send them to America, send them to the United Kingdom so they can become a good accent and talk very fluently. So when they go to face King Yama and he asks these questions, my good man, where have you been? You can say, oh, well, I've rather been quite busy, in a very posh accent, because then he'll forgive you. Won't he? What are your priorities? Where do your priorities lay? What is the purpose of your life when this is what awaits you? How can you breathe? How come you have the time to breathe if you're not certain that you have become a Sotapanna? How come you have the time to go and eat if you're not certain that you have become a Sotapanna? How come? I don't get it. How come you can make up your mind to go and sleep if you're not certain you have become a Sotapanna? Now, I'm not talking about becoming an Arahant. The day you become a Sotapanna, I'll ask you the same question. How come you have time to sleep when you know you haven't become an Arahant? But today I must ask you the question. How come you have the time to sleep if you know you are yet to become a Sotapanna? Well then, do I even have to bother asking you about how come you have time to go on holiday? But don't miss any of those episodes. Make sure you set aside time for that. Make sure you set aside time to spend with your family, with your neighbors, with your relations, with your grandparents. Right? Make sure you do that. Because I'll worry about it later. Because when King Yama asks, you can say, I was busy. You can't expect me to do all these things. Be mindful about my thoughts, actions and deeds. What rubbish. I've been too busy. I had places to go and people to see. I was far too busy. I had money to spend. So I was far too busy spending my money. All these countries that I had to go and see. All the rocks I had to climb. All the jets I had to fly in. All the skyscrapers that I had to build. All the countries that I had to conquer. The funny thing is, it doesn't ask you about any of those things. Perhaps they missed out that bit. I don't know, did I skip a page somewhere? So I urge to you, young and the elderly, be heedful. You have no time to waste. It may just be that all of you have by now consumed 99% of your life. Because what age are you to die? What age? Who knows your expiry date? No one does. So how do you know that you haven't consumed 99% of your life? You've come here in a bus, right? You sure that bus is going to take you back home? It'll take you somewhere. I'm not sure it's home. Next week I'll show you the video. So if me reading this out to you was so bad, then wait till you watch the video. So make sure you book another appointment somewhere. Make your commitment so you don't have to come here. So one of our monks will have to make the video. It's all over the net, so you got to find the bits, chop it up and put it all together, trim it, edit it, right? Some of them will be in foreign languages, so you have to remove the words out of it and make it presentable so you can understand it. All of this they do because of the kindness and the compassion that they have towards you. I don't need to remind our monks about the 4 great hells. They've probably surpassed this a long time now. Probably. I can't give any guarantees, but probably. But I don't know about you. Because I know that you don't have the same amount of time to put to this. This is a problem. I don't know how much time you have to listen to the Dhamma. I don't know. Because I don't know about your lives, how busy and what chores you have to attend to, what duties and responsibilities you have. The only duty and responsibility I have is one, cleansing myself of the defilements and helping another man or woman cleanse themselves of the defilements. That's the only duty I have. What other duties do I have? Even if I had to lift a rock, lift a stone and put it to another side, that's to help another person rid their mind of defilements. Why? Because I'm at a monastery. What do people come to the monastery for? Fishing? Or bird watching? No, people come here to attain Nibbana just like you. I lay out the chairs along with other monks and other anagarikas. We sweep, we clean. I do it along with the other monks to give you every opportunity. I do it with happiness in my heart. I do it because it's my duty. It's my duty to help you find the same solace and the same refuge in the Noble Triple Gem as I have. Because I know, folks, that there is no other alternative. There is not a second chance. This is the only chance. The Buddha's path, the Buddha's teaching, the Buddha's philosophy is the only way. There is not a second way. If you came along to the Dhamma sermon yesterday, some of you may have, we simplified Nibbana, brought it down to what? A comma. A comma. The more you reflect on the Dhamma, the more simple it becomes. You know how the Buddha says, the entire universe, I'm able to realize, I have realized like a drop of water on my palm, or like a drop from a dish or a curry that I've just that has been made. You know, like how you check that a curry's got all the right ingredients to the right amounts. You take a little bit, put it on your tongue, and you know if it's got, because the composition of that tiny droplet is an indication of the entire broth. So the Buddha says, this entire universe I have come to realize like a drop of water on my palm. So now I begin to understand what he meant by that. Because the more you begin to understand and realize the Dhamma, the simpler you can make it. You can make it so simple and so straightforward. Yesterday we brought it down to a simple comma. To put it in English, because the same doesn't work in English. So just for your benefit, if you're wondering what it is, in Sinhala, we said it was One, Nane. These 2 words. One is want. Nane is don't. If you put a comma in between the 2 words, One, Nane. You remove the comma. Now it's a completely different sentiment. One, Nane. Ignoble men, so those who are not Aryas, the problem that they see is One, Nani. But the day you have become a noble one, what is the problem you see? Remove the comma. Now, One, Nani. So I wanted to give the same meaning in English. So remove the words, remove the comma. It's not to do with the comma, it's simply the order of 2 words. Want and don't. Want, don't. Switch the 2 around, don't want. One is the worldly suffering. The other is realization and the state that your mind gets into. Don't want. I don't need it. Need it. Don't have it. But what if don't need it? Now you're free. Need it. Don't have it. That's the problem that worldly beings experience. Because suffering can either be experienced or realized. And they're not the same thing. You can experience suffering like we all do. Who only experiences suffering? Buddhists? Then? Everyone. Humans? Every being experiences suffering. Unless you're an arahant, you experience suffering. Devas and brahmas and spirits and demons and dogs and cats and sheep and cow, all these beings, they experience suffering. What suffering? How can you express that? Need. Don't. Own it. Nani. Why? There's a comma between the two words. Own it. Nani. Isn't that the problem you've been trying to solve all your life? I'm trying to remind you how noble lives you've led. All throughout your life, throughout these years of your existence, which of these two problems have you been trying to deal with or treat? Is it one or nane? Which one? One is what? Need it. Nane is don't have it. Which one have you been trying to treat? Nane. So you went to school. You took up instruction. You learned. You studied. You worked hard. You did your homework. You went to university. You went to college. You got yourself jobs. Right? You worked hard. Earned money. Got married. Had children. Saved up for your retirement. Why? To keep away the pain of nanny. To put off having the suffering that comes with nanny. For our non-native speakers, nanny is what? Not having it. Don't have it. Want it. Don't have it. Or need it. Don't have it, ne? But where does true suffering lay? Need it. I need it. That's where Aryans see suffering. Needing something. It's when you need something, you're going to be suffering that you don't have it. What if you don't need it? Then no suffering. What is another word for needing? What is the cause of all suffering? What is the cause of all suffering? Tanha, attachment. What is one? Attachment. Whether you look at it from the macroscopic level, having worldly things, mundane, right? Goods, things, people, sunset, sunrise, right? Want to go to another country, all these things are at that level. Or you come down to the microscopic, macroscopic, atomic level of a chitta arising and passing away. Ultimately, it's what? The suffering that Anaryans see, as in ignoble people. The suffering that they experience is want it, don't have it. Need it, any. Isn't this what you've been trying to deal with and treat all your life? Wow. See, you can bring Nibbana down to a comma. Comma. Take away the comma. Nibbana. Take away the comma. Nibbana. Why? Oninen. Oninatta. You're free. Why is a prison sentence a punishment? This is not sending them to the gallows. A prison sentence, why is it a punishment? Do they not get given 3 meals a day? Do they not get given clothes to wear? If they're sick, do they not get treatment? And do they not have shelter? Of course. How much do they have to spend for that? It's free. So how come it's punishment? One. Nani. What do they own? What do they own? What do they want? What do they want? To go out, to see, to feel, to smell, to listen, to taste and to experience. To indulge in sensuality. See the sights out there because the world's your oyster. Oh God. Therefore, you see, prison is not a punishment. They are punishing themselves. The prisoners are punishing themselves. Put me in a prison, see if I want to get out. They'll have a tough time getting me out of it. Why? I don't have to see anyone. I don't have to talk to anyone. Just confine me into a cell, and that's the blessed place I could be. Because once you have the Dhamma, all that's left to do with life is to contemplate on the teaching and rid your mind of the defilements. Once Raga, Dvesha, Moha has gone on your mind, now you're a free man. No longer do you have the problem of which one? One. Which is needing, wanting, desiring. The problem is when you don't get what you desire. So what is life then? Worldly life is what? Acquiring what you desire. Did we not talk about this a long time ago? Acquiring what it is you desire has become the people's purpose of existence. Ask yourself, is that not what your purpose of existence is? Hopefully that's changed by now. If not, what a pity. The purpose of your lives, folks, has to be not dealing with nane. It should be dealing with one. Desire is what brings you your suffering on a plate. It's a 5-course dinner. Desiring is the problem, attachment is the problem. That's where you need to deal. That's where you need to treat. That's the problem you got to fix. But all ignoble people and everyone you associate, and here's a list of the people you associate, right? All of those people on that list, what did they keep telling you? Your mothers, your fathers, your brothers, your sisters, your uncles, your aunties, your nephews, your cousins, grandparents, right? Your colleagues, your co-workers. You don't have it? What, man? He doesn't have it. Sin, no? I picked up a few phrases from our English audience. Apparently, paune is sin, no. I heard one day someone come to the monastery and they were looking at these young monks. Sin, no. I was thinking to myself, yeah, I feel the same about you, madam. See how simple and straightforward and so logical this teaching is. You can't find something that is more logical than this. I dare you, I challenge you. Go find something more logical than this. You tell me 1 + 1 is 2 is logical? This is even more logical. This is even more logical. You may be able to prove to me that 1 + 1 it does not equal 2, but you can never prove to me that attachment is what leads to suffering. Never. Try me. It's so straightforward. This is why I don't get, why don't people feel the urge to go to realize this? You have so much courage and so much energy still left in you. I emphasize the word still. You have courage and energy still left in you. There's still vitality left in you. What are you using it for? Are you trying to fix one or nani? Which one? Depending on which one you'd use that energy to fix, your life will either be purposeful or purposeless. Give meaning to your life, folks. Do something meaningful with your lives. Do something you can be proud of one day. Who here is going to be proud of the fact that you're going to have to be leaving your children behind? Put your hand up. Who here is proud of the fact that all the riches and all the wealth and all the property that you've earned and struggled so hard in your life to build up and acquire and accumulate, you're going to have to leave behind? Who's proud of that? You can't be proud of that. That's not something to be proud of. The fact that you have to leave them behind? No. You can be proud of the fact that you can leave them behind. I can. Doesn't bother me one bit. Ask yourself, are you there? If you find yourself one day where you have to leave them behind, whoa. Because guess what? You'll be back for them. People spend a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to protect what? Their houses, their cars, their children. People don't realize they don't have to struggle so hard, because when they die, they're going to be back anyway. Why do people have so much trouble with the pretas? Swaminathan, my mother died 2 years ago and she's back. Surely that's a good thing. No, Swaminathan, you don't understand. She's back to haunt me. Well, then give her what she wants. She wants my daughter. People come to talk to us about these things, folks. Every day we get this. I think I've probably spoken with more people than the hairs on my head. Oh, there used to be hairs on my head. Number of times people have come up to me and said, Swaminathan, mother comes back to me, father comes back to me, uncle comes back to me, daughter, son, child comes back to me, haunting me. Doesn't let me sleep. They're running around the house every day, every night. I can't do anything. I hear these noises, screaming noises. No one else at home hears this. It's only me. I've had counseling. I've gone to see psychologists and psychiatrists, and they've been putting me on drugs, but nothing's working. What must I do? Well, the problem is, it's too late now. Because those people who left throughout their lives, they tried to fix the wrong problem. Which one? One? No. Nanny. What is owning? Attachment. Had they fixed that problem, the problem of attachment, they wouldn't be back. But what happened? Mentally they're still attached, but physically the body's broken. So now they come back with another body. Is this the state you want to find yourselves in? How much time do you have left? Did I not tell you the most dangerous thing in this room last week? Remember? It's facing me, but it's not facing you right now. Okay, now it's facing you. That's what's going to happen. One day it's going to go, ting, time's up. Then all the children, all the relatives, all the neighbors, all the houses, all the passports that you've picked up along the way, all the visa stamps you've got along the way, all the MBBSs and all the other qualifications you've got for yourself, none of them are going to come and save you. The only refuge you will have then is your understanding, your comprehension of the Dhamma, and whether you have reached the noble attainments. I say this because I have plenty of experience of this. Not first hand yet. Well, the first hand experiences I can't remember now. Because actually I have had many first hand experiences. How many? Too many to remember. That many. But I want my next one to be my last one. I don't want any more. Not very long ago, a lady about the age of 50 came to the monastery. She wanted to give a Dolos Pirikara. She wanted to make a Dolos Pirikara puja. I think I might have said this story to you once before. Can't remember now. She came here saying, Swaminathan, I was living happily with my husband. We had a child together. We got married at a very young age. Had a loving family. Right? We lived very happily with each other. As if. I should stop dropping these subtle hints, right? It's not nice of me to do that. So anyway, so she was living a happy life, a happy married life. Where do you find them? Anyway, she's living a happy married life. And then one day the husband passed away. She was only 25 or 30 years of age. I think 30 years of age. Time passed by. Slowly but eventually, she started hearing noises. The husband was extremely attached. He doted on the wife and the child. He couldn't spend a moment away from them. Even when the wife went to see her parents, the husband would keep calling him saying, come back, I can't be without you. I want you. Whenever she would speak to another man, the husband became jealous. How come you speak to another man? You can only talk to me. She was addicted, or he was rather addicted to this woman. I can't live life without you. I don't want a single day or a moment without you. I have to be by your side, and you have to be my side. He didn't know what he was asking for. Then he passed away. Mind still attached, body broken. This is why I say it's not the physical letting go that is important. Don't worry about the physical letting go. If you're the richest man in the country, then keep all the wealth you have. That's not the problem. Keep your Bugatti, that's okay, it's not a problem. It's the mental attachments that's the problem. So this woman came back because she has a tough time sleeping at night. Every day at night, she screams out loud, like a madman, like a mad woman, like someone going crazy. And she doesn't know what she does throughout the night. When she wakes up in the morning, she's on the floor. The bedroom's been turned upside down. Everything's all over the place. All the children and everyone in the house who come to attend to her, she doesn't remember any of these things. She can't recall the previous night. But clearly she's possessed. Possessed by the very person that was so madly in love with her. So she came to the monastery and said, Swami Nuhasa, please help me. My life has become hell. I need to relieve myself of this problem. So we advised, let's do a Dolospirkara puja. But she thought she knew better than the monks. That's the problem. A lot of people think they know better. So we said, okay, we'll help you. But do as we say. Don't curse, don't make a curse on this man. Remember that he's destitute in samsara much like you are. In fact, he's more helpless than you are. He's destitute. He's not only helpless, he's hopeless. So we said, be kind to this person. Empathize with this person. Sympathize with them. And do this to help them. Not help you, help them. Redeem themselves from the woeful plains. To regain a human life. Or at least some kind of life form in the blissful plane. This is why you should be doing this Dolospirkara. We advise the lady. But would she listen? Oh, no. Why? Because they know better. So we sat down for the Dolospirkara. Of course we can't read her mind. She sat down for the Dolospirkara. And we conducted the proceedings. And then at the end of the session, she started jumping up and down. Imagine, lady of 50 or 55, she's jumping in the middle of the Dhamma hall. Throwing her arms and legs all over the place, she's jumping up and down. And everyone's watching. What's just going on? Imagine, if your mother's that age, imagine her jumping up and down. In the middle of the hall, everyone's watching. So we tried to pacify her and tried to sit her down. So the Swami Nuhasa, they are chanting Pirit. And then this woman, she looks at the Swami Nuhasas, gives them a stare and says, if you think I'm leaving, you got another thing coming. So in Sinhala she was saying, Mang yanna bolau, topito onnam puluwan nama yawala penna. So what he's saying is, I dare you. So this is essentially like an exorcism. But that is not the intention we had, because we tried to explain to this lady the intentions you must have should be benevolent ones towards this man. Because remember, he is in a more despairing state than you are. So try to be helpful to this person, not have feelings of resentment and anger and hatred, but those are not the sentiments that she held on to. So again, some people who were there sat her down, and then we sprinkled some Pirit water. And then a while later, she calmed down, because continuously we kept chanting Pirit, and with the help of the Pirit water, we were able to help her to get out of this state of possession. And then we asked her, how come, did you not do as we said? Oh no, Swami, because I thought, this man, he hates me, I hate him back for what he did to me. So that's not what we asked you to do. Yeah, I forgot, Swami Mahansa. So she went away. We couldn't help her. And we suggested, come back another day, but I don't think she ever returned. I don't know what state she's in now. The reason I relate this story to you is because these things are so very real. Whether you believe in them or not, the truth is this. You can choose to decide, you can choose to believe in the truth, or you can choose to deny it. But remember, denial is not just a river in Egypt. Because if you deny it, if you don't want to accept it, if you don't believe in this, you have everything to lose. But if you do believe in this, all you have to do is walk the Noble Eightfold Path. Abstain from the unwholesome deeds. Rid your mind of the defilements. Now tell me, what do you have to lose? Am I telling you don't watch TV? No. Am I telling you give away all your riches? No. Should you start dressing in white now and put away all your colored clothes? Is that what I said? No. I said cleanse your mind of the defilements. Free yourself of suffering. That's all we say. So don't be hasty in putting away all your worldly possessions. Keep them. It's not the physical attachments that bring suffering. It's the mental attachments that bring suffering. Don't let go. Let go happen. Let the letting go happen. It'll happen eventually. It'll happen naturally. Don't force it upon yourself. Because then if you force it upon yourself, again you're back to square one. One. Nane. Right? Guy wants to watch TV. He gives away his TV. He still wants to watch TV. Why? Swami Mahansa said don't watch TV. No, I didn't say why don't watch TV. But he misunderstands. He listens to what his voice says, not what I say. He listens to what he thinks I said. And he gives away his TV. Now, nane. It's a problem. I didn't say fix the nane. I said fix the one. Fix desire. That's where the problem is. Fix the attachment. Rid your mind of attachment. That's where the problem is. Once you fix your mind where the problem is, now it doesn't matter whether it's dhyane or nane. Now it doesn't matter whether you have it or not. This is why I say, how come a prison sentence is a punishment? How come putting a guy in a dark room is a punishment? It's not someone punishing them. They're punishing themselves. You can't punish a man by putting him into a dark room. You can't do that. But a man can punish himself. Well, you could do that simply by shutting your eyes. I want to see. Can't see. What is going blind? Want to see. Can't see. Want. Don't. Switch the two words around. Don't want. No? No problem. But want. Don't. No? Big problem. Don't want? No problem. Want? Don't. Whoa, problem. Which problem? Which of these two problems are you now trying to fix? I ask you folks. That is what determines. The answer to this question is what determines whether you are walking the noble path or you are walking the ignoble path. Whether you are an Arya or an Anarya is dependent on which answer you come up with. How you answer this question, not just for the sake of it, but through your intuition. Genuinely, what is your answer to this question? Are you trying to fix the one or the nane? Are you trying to fix the need or are you trying to fix the don't have? Because remember, one day you're going to come to that point where, remember, even the Mara asks you, did you not see that man or the woman who was deaf, who was blind, who was elderly, who was old, who was frail, whose limbs were blotchy, who couldn't stand up on his own 2 feet, who was lying prone in his own excrement and urine. Aren't you all heading there? You're all heading there. You and I, we're all heading there. Well, if that day is coming, you had better start preparing for it. When? When? Yesterday. Why do I say yesterday? To emphasize the urgency with which you ought to do it. To emphasize the urgency with which you should do it, because you don't know when that day is going to be coming. How do you know when you're going to go blind? How do you know when you're going to go deaf? How do you know when you're going to be paralyzed? How do you know? You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. Either you're going to break or you're going to fall apart. One of these two things has to happen. If you're going to be all in one, then you're going to break eventually. By which I mean death. If death's not going to come to you, then falling apart is going to come to you. By which I mean decay. Decay and death, they're competing with each other. For what? What's the price? What's the price? What are they competing for? You. Death and decay are competing for you. They're on a race. Who can get to you first? Do you not remember when you were kids? Let's go and see who can touch Ami first. Did you not play that game? You know what? Death and decay, they're playing that game. When? Right now. Let's see who can get to put your name first. Fill in the blanks. Do you see why I always urge you and remind you the urgency with which you should do this? I don't want for there to be a day, folks, where you want to see but you can't see. I want you to achieve that day where you don't want to see. You couldn't care less whether you could see or not. Then it doesn't matter whether you can see or not. That is the day where you'll feel empowered. Right now, you're not empowered. Doesn't matter how much authority you have, doesn't matter how many people you are in your control, doesn't matter whether you're the executive officer or the prime minister or the president of the country or the entire planet. Doesn't matter, because you're not a free man. You are a slave to your mind's desires. You're all slaves. You slaves. I'm rude, aren't I? If only you could see the emotions that are in me right now, and the purpose and why I'm saying these things to you. If only. You know, this is why when you come here once a week, at most maybe twice or maybe 3 times if you come Wednesdays, Saturdays and Sundays. But that's it. I'm here 7 days a week. You're here 3 days a week. But of course there are other commitments and duties and obligations which you must attend to, and therefore there may be days where you can't come any day of the week. So when you come here, I have to give you a big fat punch. The pain which will last you through until you come here next time. What if I just flick you? Oh. That's not enough. Because when you get up on your seat, you'll have forgotten it. So the intensity with which I need to speak to you and emphasize these points is because you don't get this every day of the week. But Guru Hamza speaks to us 10 times worse than this. Because that's why I ordained in the Sambuddha Shasana. Because I don't want to do this tomorrow. That's too late for me. I don't want to do this tomorrow. When do I want to do this? Yesterday. Be heedful. Those are the Buddha's last words. Why did he choose those words? You think he just said, what can I say now? First word comes to mind. Okay, I'll just say that. No. It was all planned. Appamadena sampadeta. The last utterances of the greatest one there ever was. Appamadena sampadeta. Be heedful. Don't waste your valuable resource of time. Don't waste your human life. Be diligent. Have a sense of urgency. Be at haste to do this. Don't do what you can do today, tomorrow. Do it today. How are some people like? Why do something today when you can do it tomorrow? Is that the mentality you should have? No. The mentality you should have is, why do something tomorrow if you can do it today? Today is the last day. That's why. There won't be a tomorrow. There won't be a next week, folks, for you to come here. I was only thinking about this yesterday as I was walking. Actually, no, this morning. I came here to do some meditation in the morning, and as I was going up, I was thinking to myself, in a flash of a second, your faces just came to my mind. I don't know why. Just randomly. And I wondered to myself, how many of these people will be here? How many of these faces will be here by this time next year? That shocked me. Forget accidents. Put that to aside. Natural death, disease, heart attack, cancer, stroke, coma, paralysis. You want me to keep going? I asked myself, how many of these faces will I see this time next year? I don't know why the thought came to my mind. So you better watch out now. Do you only start watching out after I reminded you? No, you should be telling me, Swami. No, I was thinking that myself. That's what you should be telling me. I was asking myself, how many of these faces will I see here next year? This time next year? And I thought, well, I don't know. Because how do I know if I'll be here next year, this time next year? What you have received, what you have achieved, having become humans and received this teaching, is something that I can't even bring the right words together to describe. I always tell you how lucky you are. I always remind you how fortunate you are, how extremely lucky you are. Please do something with what you have received, what you have achieved. Do something with it. Take action. Give purpose to your human life. Do you remember what Guru Hamda said yesterday towards the end of his sermon? How come we had a fifth Buddha? You know, the Gautama Buddha. He was a Buddha who surpasses other bodhisattvas in terms of wisdom. His prime faculty is wisdom. Had he not done so, we would have had to wait for Maitri Buddha. And then in this eon, we would have only had 4 Buddhas. But because our Bodhisattva, who went on to become the Gautama Buddha, because of his wisdom, he always wanted to go first. Whenever there was an opportunity to fulfill his perfections, he went first. Because of his wisdom. And as a result of that, it's as if by coincidence, we have a 5th Buddha. And it's as if by a miracle, we've been born in the era of a Buddha. And despite that, your parents didn't get this. Despite that, your grandparents didn't get this. Despite that, your children still haven't gotten it. Whoa. Your neighbors aren't here. Your brother's not here. Your sister's not here. Your husband's not here. Your wife's not here. How come? Because you were the lucky selected ones. I believe we all had appointments in the Buddha's dispensation. We all had an appointment in the Buddha's dispensation. There were some who were extremely lucky. They had appointments while the Buddha was still alive. Who was the luckiest? Kondanya. First appointment. He must have been the favorite of the Bodhisattva secretary. He got the first appointment. We were lucky to get appointments ourselves. But one day, the last man or woman to have had an appointment is going to pass away. And then after that, we'll all have to wait until the next Buddha comes along. Which is when? I don't want to hang around to find out. Be diligent. Be heedful. Listen to the sermons. Practice. Always contemplate. You can't switch off the mind, can you? You can't switch off the mind. So the mind is always working. You can switch off your body, sleep, whatever, right? Take a rest, sit down, do nothing. But you can't switch off your mind. Your mind is always working. So a thought has to always come into your mind. My question to you is, here's what I ask you to think about. Why do you let these thought moments pass away without making any use of it? Why do you let these thoughts pass away? Who was that king who said, don't let a drop of water fall onto the earth without making use of it? Parakrambahu, right? Am I right? Yes. The great King Parakrambahu who said, don't let a single drop of water fall from the skies without humans making any use of it. Well, I propose to you, don't let a single chitta pass away without making use of it, without turning it towards your nirvana. Because you have the power to do it now. You've got the Dhamma. Contemplate on the Dhamma. Reflect on anicca dukkha anatta. Reflect on the essenceless nature of existence. Reflect on the fact that these rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, vijnana are meaningless, essenceless, futile, useless. What's the point? Attachment only ever brought you suffering. Nothing else did attachment bring you. It didn't bring you suffering plus anything else. It was suffering and suffering alone. And now you've heard the detail and the gravity and the extent of the suffering. So I've now actually got new meanings to the new characteristics of Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana. We've been saying it's Pelana Sului, right? I've got new ones. Satarapayat Ada Damana Sului. Yes or no? Yes. Ballek Karavana Sului. Yes or no? Yes. Why? What does attachment Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana bring you? It's a visa. The intensity with which your attachment lay, to that extent, to that length, you will have to suffer the consequences. Because the stronger your attachment is, the stronger you will vex. And the more you will be geared up, the more you will have the drive to relieve yourself of vexation. And 99% of the things you do to relieve yourself of vexation are not meritorious deeds. They are unmeritorious deeds. Because they'll be based in lobha dosa moha, not alobha dosa moha. When your understanding is in the Dhamma, when you have begun to comprehend the teaching of the Buddha, then you will reflect on these Rupa Vedana Sanya Sankhara Vijnana as being anicca dukkha anatta. And it's then you will see the useless, futile, essenceless nature of attachment. What is the point? There's no point in attachment. And it's to that level, it's to that extent you will be able to let go. The more you let go, the less you will vex. The less you will vex, the less you will want to be engaged in abhisankara. The less you are engaged in abhisankara, the less you will be prone to engaging in unmeritorious deeds. But now you know, be it meritorious deeds or unmeritorious deeds, if you are doing a karma, the vipaka for that will either be in the hells or heavens. But hells or heavens, these are both places of suffering. Because a heaven is actually relative. I think the gentleman asked us the other day, isn't this hell, Swami Nohansa? Life on earth? Of course, it is hell. Not just the kudukaryas. Life in Paranimita Vasavarti is hell. We're talking about human world. Why? Because everywhere, what do we have? The arising and passing away of the mind with its attachment. Think about this. Reflect on it. You have the Dhamma. This is what I said, to sum up, you have all the tools you need. You have human life. Yes? You have time, or whatever is left of it. Yes. You have the Dhamma. Yes? What else do you need? Dharamayai Obai. What else do you need? You have everything you need. So what are you waiting for? Be diligent. Be answerable to yourself. If not, you'll have someone to answer to, and it won't be fun. Be answerable to yourself. I can't see the time now. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. Right. Did you understand the point I made about simplifying nirvana and bringing it down to such a subtle point as a comma? So ask yourselves now, right? Because yes, we can regret all we like about, oh, I wasted my life on 65 years of trying to fix the nanny problem. But regret doesn't take us anywhere. How many thought moments do you need to achieve Nibbana? 1 is plenty. 2 is too many. 1 is plenty. Nirvana is not something you achieve after death. Nirvana is something you achieve now. It's freeing the mind of raga, dvesha, moha, desire, aversion and delusion. And to get there you have to free the mind of attachment. Put purpose into your lives is simply what I'm asking you to do. Give it purpose, give it meaning, do something useful with your lives, because hopefully you understand that everything you've done in your life so far has been useless. And not because I say so, it can't be so. If you're accepting it because I say so, you haven't gotten this yet. If you're nodding your head because I say so, you haven't gotten this yet. You have to realize this. And you have to be able to convince me, not me convince you. You have to be able to convince me, unashamedly, that Swamin Hansa, I wasted my life. You should be able to convince me. In fact, you should be able to walk up to your children and say, Putta, sit down. Putta, I wasted my life. If you can't do that, you haven't got yet. Because if you really feel compassion towards your children, do you want them to make the same mistakes you did? My dad couldn't make it to medical college, so he wanted me to achieve it. He couldn't make it, so he wanted me to do it. Don't you all want your children to achieve and go to places and do things that you couldn't? Well, all I'm proposing to you is, well, do that with nirvana. They're still young. When do you, ask yourselves now, right? When do you wish you had realized this? Which one is the right answer? A, yesterday. B, 6 months ago. C, 6 years ago. D, the day I started my life. Which one? Well, then what are you waiting for? Your children are going through life right now. They're also spending their valuable life. It's not fair, parents, I appeal to you. It's not fair that you have understood this. You are beginning to realize that this is the truth and not give it to your children. It's not fair. It's so unfair. Because did you not promise them the best in life when you brought them into this world? When the mother held the child in her arms, when she held that baby in her arms, did you as a mother, did you as a father not look at the child's face when he or she could not understand a syllable of what you were uttering? Still did you not say, Putta, I'm going to make you the happiest man alive. Dua, I'm going to look after you like the apple of my eye. Did you not promise them that? Are you keeping true to your word? Can you today look into their eyes and say, we are keeping true to our word, without having your fingers crossed behind your back? If not, you're guilty. If not, you are hypocrites. Because you promised them to give them whatever it takes to be happy. If you are beginning to realize now, if you haven't figured this out yet, you're forgiven. Because this can't be forced upon anybody. I can't force you to understand this. But if you're beginning to realize that this is the truth, do you not want to give the best to your children? Are you still driving them up the wrong wall? Are you still getting them to bark up the wrong tree? There are some of you who have already sent their children here. There are some of you who make every attempt, make every effort to bring their children here, to get them to sit down, speak to the Swami Nuhanses, begin to help them realize this, begin to help them understand it. There are some of you who have made it their duty to send their employees here. Sometimes once a month, they come in groups, listen to the Dhamma, help them figure it out. You help them make a living for them, but at the same time you help give them the truth. Now they have all options. Without all cards on the table, how can you pick? How can you make the right choice? Did you not tell them, keep all options open? Consider all options before you make your mind. Is that not the logical thing to do? Well, when you know that there's another option that they haven't still discovered, tell me, what is your duty? To expose it to them. They may not take it, so be it. Fair enough, but you've done your duty. If you're a parent who has understood this, if you're a mother, if you're a father who's understood this, or at least who's beginning to understand that there's some sense in this, the Buddha was right all along. I'm beginning to see a crack in my logic. My logic is not making sense anymore. Attachment I thought was bringing me happiness. Accumulating, gathering wealth and property and all these things I thought was making me happy. But hey, I'm figuring out that that's not true. I'm beginning to see cracks in my logic. My logic is no longer sound. But here I've found a logic which makes sense. This is sensible to me. Don't you think it's your duty to show them that option? Let them decide. Every monk who's ordained at our monastery was only given another option. Every one of them. No one had a gun held to their head and said, ordain or else. Ask the Anagarikas. There are young children among them. Those who have done very well in their lives. Doctors, some of them. Some of them who've come from other countries. Successful careers internationally. No one held a gun to their head and said ordain or else. All we did was lay that option on the table. You decide. All Morpheus did was present Nemo the pill and said, you decide. That's the matrix. All I'm doing is presenting the pill, giving you that option, and I'm asking you folks, do it with your children, otherwise you are not a mother. Sorry. You are not a mother. If you don't do this with your children, give them that other option, you are not a father. You are just a man who brought a child into this world. You are just a mother who brought a child into this world. You do not deserve to be called mothers and fathers. Because you promised them, looking at their tender faces, and said, Puta Dua, I promise you, I'll give you the best that life has to offer. Well, what has life got to offer? What is the best that life can offer? Is it not the Buddha's teaching? Is it not the path to true realization, true freedom? Because everything else is a means to an end. Every penny they earn, they'll have to leave behind. Every house they make, they have to leave behind. Every car and every country they own, they have to leave behind. He's waiting. I ask you, when are you going to do your duty to your children? because you promised them that. Otherwise, walk up to them today and say, I promised you I was going to make you happy. I was just kidding, okay? I said it. I didn't really mean it. Can you let me off the hook? At least, have the courage and the guts to go and at least have not the guts, have the decency to go up to them and say, please, can you let me off? I said I was going to give you the best, but I didn't really mean it. Do you realize why I'm so passionate about this? I want you to want the best for your children. I want the best for you, and I want you to want the best for your children. Because without this, every day, at the end of sermons, you come and talk to me. Things, how do I learn about the outside world? You come and talk to me. You tell me, Swami Nuhansa, this world is getting corrupted by the day. It is you who come and tell me sex, drugs and violence are destroying our youth. You tell me. Sex, drug and violence are destroying our youth, Swami Nuhansa. What can we do about it? Well, I'm telling you what to do about it. Because the moment in their minds someone comes and implants this pill, this chip that goes one, they'll be going, nanny, 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 nanny. Now what do? They go and fix that problem. What? Nanny? So before that before that chip is implanted in their minds, in their brains, you as a parent have a responsibility and a duty to go up to them and say, Puta, one day someone's going to come up to you and they're going to promise you sensual delights and sensual pleasures. But hey, listen to what I have to say. Listen to what the Buddha said, because I just want to give you this other option in life. I promised you happiness and I want to offer you every option to happiness. So far I have taught you happiness is through education, happiness is through doing a job, happiness is through earning money. Because that is what I knew, so I taught you that. I didn't know any better, so I taught you what I knew. You can't blame me for that. Can they? Of course not. Because you taught them what you knew. If you didn't know, so how can you teach them something you don't know? But now you know. And it doesn't matter how old they are. It doesn't matter if they've got children, they're settled down. You might say, Swami, so what if my Buddha comes and ordains now? If he listens to this, he's got a family, he's got children, he's got a wife. Is he all going to fall apart? Well, is it not going to happen anyway? Isn't death going to come one day and go and do a knock-knock joke? One day death's going to come. Who's there? Death. Death who? Death to you. But it's going to come anyway. At least if they have freed their minds of the defilements. This is why I say it's not about giving up your family. It's not about giving up all your personal luxuries and all the things you've built up and you've gathered and you've accumulated. It's not about that. It's only, I emphasize, only about ridding your mind of defilements. Raga, Dvesha and Moha, nothing else. The Buddha's teaching was for nothing else. The only reason I ordained is because I want to do that 24/7. Because I know there are those among you who want to take this step, but the opportunities have now closed up. Either through old age, either through age, or through other duties and responsibilities, or because you have children. But what about your children who still don't have children? Well, then wait until they have children, and then you can't be guilty, right? What can I do now? They have children. So wait until they fall into the pit. Then you can say, oh, I can't help them now. It's too late. And try and live with your guilty conscience after that. Good luck to you. Am I nasty? Am I mean? Am I violating every civil and all the ethics out there? I hope I'm appealing to your intellect. I hope I'm talking sense to you. It may sound like I've gone mad. if it sounds like I've gone mad, you better stop and think who's actually mad. Worldly beings will never talk to you like this. In fact, they'll probably even ask you, why do you waste your time going to those Sunday sermons? They've been banned from preaching outside anyway. Right? So surely they must be talking rubbish. Right? And half the stuff they say, none of the other monks say anyway. All this anicca dukkha anatta nonsense. Why do you waste your time going there? Do something better with your life. To hell with them. Not me to them. That's what they'll probably say to us. To hell with them. I'll be surprised if people don't say those things already to you guys. You know, some people, they want to come here, but they won't. They want to come here. They want to come to the monastery and listen to the sermons. Not because they can't arrange transport, but because of the repercussions that they'll have to face because of other people who will bring problems to them. Sometimes friends, sometimes family. Well, you know, you've got to protect, right? When you build up a personality, you've got to protect your personality. Anything you build up, you've got to protect. That's why I stopped building up. The higher you go, the harder you fall. When you're on the floor, you can't fall. So what should you do? Keep building. Fly. Reach for the stars. Help your children, folks. They have no other place to go to. If not you, they have no refuge. They came into this world not knowing anything. They came into this world ignorant. Don't let them die ignorant. They came into this world not knowing their friends from their foes. They appealed to you. They came up to you and said, Ammi, please tell me, who should I associate and who should I not associate? Tati, please tell me, who should I go out with? Who should I not go out with? Who should I play with? Who should I not play with? What are the things I should do and what are the things I shouldn't be doing? Didn't your children ask you these questions? Now you know, every time you give the wrong answer, it's about time you started fixing them. You know, think about this, right? If one day, after you're here and gone to the afterworld, if, and just if, one day your children get to listen to this teaching, and they check the date on the sermon, these are the sermons my mother used to go to, and this is 5 years back. How come she never told me about this? I tell you, they will not come up to your grave after that to lay flowers, because they will realize you have kept from them the ultimate truth to happiness. Don't be that person that your children will one day curse. Because one day if they do receive this teaching, if they do begin to realize, and they check the date on the sermon, and this is the sermons my Tata used to go to. These are the sermons my mother used to go to. How come she never told me about this stuff? She waited until I fell into the problem. She waited until I fell into the pit. They're probably not going to call you mother and father again. Life is no joke. Help them, folks. They have only just escaped the 4 great hells. Don't send them back in there again. Because once they're there again, it's going to be a pretty damn long time before they get back out. And chances are, there's not going to be a Buddha then. Without a Buddha, there's no difference between a human and a dog. Whether you're 2-legged or 4-legged makes no difference without a Buddha. It's actually better to be 4-legged then. How come? Because at least they don't do unmeritorious deeds. When was the last time a dog stole something? Or was backstabbing about another dog? When was the last time a dog lied to another dog? No, they don't do such things. They're more sophisticated. What a pity. The fact that humans have to hear me say this? Dogs are more sophisticated. Animals are more sophisticated than humans. They don't steal, they don't kill, they don't, dogs don't do such things. Cows, okay, let's take a cow. Okay, dog, okay, kill, maybe. Cat, kill, maybe. Rat. Cow. Cows don't kill. Cows don't steal. When was the last time you saw a cow engaging in sexual misconduct? Going out with another cow, another cow's wife? No, they don't do such things. They don't lie, they don't backstab, they don't slander, they don't engage with frivolous speech, do they? Did you watch the match today? They don't do such things. So this is why I say, when there's no Buddha around, it's better to be born a cow. At least you won't go further down. At least you won't have to go and face King Yama. But as a human being, without the Dhamma, every moment you spend, remember, you can't switch off this mind. It's constantly working. If you don't have Samma Sankappa, it's always going to be Miccha Sankappa. Not thoughts of generosity, not thoughts of giving up, not thoughts of kindness or compassion. They're going to be thoughts of attachment, thoughts of anger, thoughts of resentment, thoughts of hatred, thoughts of covetousness, thoughts of greed. Upwards or downwards? Down, 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 down. Help your children. Help them lives. Help their lives. Help them out. You have a duty. You have a responsibility. Next week I'll show you the video. Okay, let's chant the Arya Maitri and bring the sermon to a close. Which one is it today? Sinhala? Okay. Always keep asking yourself, which problem are you trying to fix? Don't, won't. You won't, but don't. Don't want. Oh, won't, but don't. Do you realize it's the opposite of the other, right? I want, but don't. Don't want. That's free. Want but don't, that's slavery. You're not a free man, not a free woman, not a free child until you want but don't have. Don't have, can't have. Why? Why are these problems? Don't have, can't haves. Because you want to have. That's why. That's when someone complains about can't have and don't have. When they want to have. If someone don't want to have it, then there's no can't have, no don't have. Those complaints don't come up. See, really simple, right? Really simple. This is a karmasthana. Always contemplate, right? When you go up to you see a piece of cake. This is how you can apply this. You see a piece of cake, you're not hungry, but you feel the urge, you feel the want to eat it now. Someone takes it away. Now you can't have it. Ask yourself, where's the problem? Want it, don't have it, or wanting it? Where's the problem? See, this is a karmasthana. This is what can take you to Nibbana. Reflecting on this truth. You're watching TV, power goes out, power cut. Where's the problem? Which one of these two is the problem? Want to watch TV, power cut. Which one's the problem? Power? Want to watch TV, not the power cut. An ignoble one will answer, power cut. A noble one will answer, want to watch TV, that's where the problem is. Because when you don't want to watch it, power cut, so be it. No power cut, still what? So no problem. Fix the right problem. Otherwise, you'll spend an entire lifetime fixing the wrong problem, and the problem will never be fixed. There's a fire here. You're throwing water there. How long will it take before the fire goes out? How many liters of water must you pump to put a fire out that's there when you're pumping water here? How many liters of water? How many man hours? Simple math. Approximately infinite. You can keep watering all your life, but the fire is over here. You're fixing the wrong problem. How is the fire going to go out? All I'm saying is turn it that way. That's what I'm saying. Give your life purpose. Add meaning to your life. You're already doing things. Just do it purposefully. Did I say stop doing everything? No. Do purposefully. Do meaningfully. Okay. So as I chant the Arya Maitri, I want you all to reflect on this truth and consider how all sentient beings out there are going through this endless cycle of suffering because they haven't discovered where the problem is, how they're trying to fix the wrong problem, and how that's just an endless rat race of an existence, never ending. The day that you have realized, or the day that you realize where the real problem is, that's the day you will start to see freedom and walk towards it. And may that day come soon for all sentient beings. This is what we wish and hope for all sentient beings. Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satvayo sansara dahayen midetva sansara rogayen midetva sansara ginnen midetva sansara anduren midetva sansara katarin midetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satvayo raga bandhanayen midetva dvesha bandhanayen midetva moha bandhanayen midetva Mara bandhanayen midetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Mamada siyalu loka siyalu satvayo jati ginnen midetva jara ginnen midetva vyadhi ginnen midetva marana ginnen midetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitatara vetva Nibbana parama sukhayen sukita taravetma mamada siyalu loka siyalu satmayo shoka ginnen midetma paridevayen midetma dukkha ginnen midetma domanassayen midetma upayasayen midetma yampittan labati tampi dukkhayen midetma sankittena panchopadanakkhandayen midetma nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitataravetma nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitataravetma nibbana parama sukhayen sukhitataravetma kamaloka anatai eyin midetma rupaloka anatai eyin midetma arupaloka anatai eyin midetma siyalu loka anatai eyin midetma atharima natai atharima vetma noelma natai noelma vetma midima natai midima vetma nivanama natai nivanama 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 vetma. Okay. Let's take a moment to transfer merits that we have all acquired through the course of today. Let us once again begin with reminding ourselves that it is because of the Supremely Enlightened One, the Perfect One, the Omniscient One, the Infinitely Compassionate One, our Master, the Buddha, who has given us this gift of Dhamma. It is because of his tireless efforts, it is because of his infinite compassion and dedication and commitments towards the deliverance of all sentient beings, including you and I, that we have his teaching today. It is because of his teaching today we have been able to redeem ourselves from the shackles of samsara. Let us also take a moment to remind ourselves of the Bhikkhu Bhikkhunis, Upasaka Upasikas, who since time immemorial protected and preserved his teaching and passed it down to us in the form of the Tripitaka. And it's thanks to them that today we have the gift of the Dhamma that we can study, analyze, understand and comprehend. Let us also take a moment to remind ourselves of all the members of the Mahasangha who may be resident wherever throughout this world, not just in Sri Lanka but also in other parts. It is they who have dedicated their lives to practicing the path, but also to dedicate some of that time towards the deliverance of all other sentient beings, men and women, just like yourselves. Let us take a moment to transmit it to them as well, not forgetting for a moment that although you have come here today to listen to the sermons delivered at this monastery, not forgetting for a moment about the members of the Mahasangha, as well as the nuns who are resident in your local temples and your local nunneries. It is they who have given up their precious time and put aside part of their life to helping you, supporting you, assisting you in your day-to-day chores, as well as in times of difficulty. Come rain or shine, it is them who have always been by your side. It is they who conduct the hum parcel for your children, and so on and so forth. So let us take a moment to transfer merits to all of them. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have today been born in the woeful planes, they will be able to redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits, they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to the Devas, Brahmas, spirits, demons, and the dead, wherever they may be, from the 10,000 world systems, wherever they might have joined us from. May they all rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to all those ancestors, our predecessors who have predeceased us, anyone who might have been a mother, father, brother, sister, uncle, aunt, nephew, nieces, grandparents, teachers, colleagues, co-workers, employers, employees, or in whatever capacity they might have come into our lives and shaped our lives in any way, shape or form. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today, not just in this birth but also in previous births. In whatever capacity they might have helped us, may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. And may through the power of these merits, if any of them have been born in the woeful planes, be able to redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits, they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to all those who are among the living, your parents, your siblings, your husbands, your wives, your spouses, your children, and so on and so forth, your colleagues, and other friends who are among the living. Anyone who might have helped you be here today, anyone who has helped you become a better person, become a law-abiding citizen in whichever way and capacity. Maybe your teachers, if any of them are today alive and among the living today, may they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. Let us not for a moment forget that it is because they have taken on some of your duties and responsibilities and relieved you of such duties and responsibilities that you are able to be here today and listen to this sermon. Perhaps they are members of your family, or perhaps they are your co-workers and colleagues. May they all be able to rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. Let us also not forget for a moment the men and women of the armed forces who have fought a long war in Sri Lanka and protected and preserved the peace and harmony of our country. It is, if not for them today, we would not have the peace of mind and the freedom to practice the Dhamma, to dedicate our lives to practicing the path. May they all rejoice in the merits that we have all acquired today. And all those men and women who might have died in the wars, as well as in the natural calamities such as the tsunamis and earthquakes, landslides, hailstorms, not just in Sri Lanka but also in other parts of the world, not forgetting for a moment that each and every one of those beings will have at some point been a mother to us, will have at some point in this infinite long journey in samsara been a father to us. So bearing that thought in mind, let us take a moment to transfer all the merits that we have all acquired to them as well. May through the power of these merits, if any of them have today been born in the woeful planes, we will redeem themselves and be born in the blissful planes. And may through the power of these merits, they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Let us also take a moment to transfer merits to all the men and women who have dedicated their lives to protecting our country, leading our country, and developing our country. Again, if not for them today, you and I will have to be doing and engaging ourselves in such activities. They have taken on the burden, they have taken on the duties and responsibilities, and as such, today we have been relieved of such duties and responsibilities to fulfill the path and achieve the bliss of Nibbana. So may they all also be able to achieve the same bliss of Nibbana. May through the power of these merits they abstain from the unmeritorious deeds, fulfill the meritorious deeds, fulfill the noble eightfold path, and attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may through the course of all the merits that we have all acquired today, in making offerings to the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha, in making your venerations to the members of the Mahasangha, in listening to this teaching, in preaching this teaching, in transferring merits, and all the merits that we have all acquired today throughout the course of today, may it empower and energize all those men and women just like yourselves throughout the world who have dedicated their lives to this path to become Arahatun Vahanses, and through them may be able to witness the advent of many hundreds of thousands of Arahatun Vahanses and Arahat Mehenin Vahanses in this blessed land, in our very lives itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And finally, may you and I and everyone who has helped make this event a success in any way, shape or form, be able to become one of those Arahatun Vahanses, be able to become one of those Arahat Mehenin Vahanses in this very life itself and in the era of the Gautama Supreme Buddha itself. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The members of the Mahasangha will now transfer their blessings to you. රාගගින්නෙන් මිදෙත්වා දේශගින්නෙන් මිදෙත්වා මෝහගින්නෙන් මිදෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා මමද සියලු ලෝක සියලු සත්වයෝ නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා තුනුරුවන්ගේ සූවිසි අනන්ත මහා ගුණ වලින් සීල ලෝක සීල සත්වයෝම නිබ්බාන පරම සුඛයෙන් සුඛිතතර වෙත්වා. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of desire. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of aversion. May I and all beings in all worlds be freed from the fires of delusion. And may I and all beings in all worlds attain the supreme bliss of Nirvana. May the Noble Triple Gem be with you all forever. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.